where the vehicle of Yandre Pretorius was fired at as he left his home. Pretorius is under investigation in connection with the 2022 murder of Emmanuel Mbense, a case before the Madlanga Commission. Thabiso Goba was in Boksburg.
Yandre Pretorius' bullets-ridden white bakkie is still parked outside his home. Police forensic teams in white coveralls have been coming through the scene looking for spent cartridges and other clues. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tommy Mtombeni says a case of attempted murder has been opened.
And of course, in terms of investigating aids, we are looking into the issues of the CCTV cameras, of which we will explore in terms of the technology around this area.
Police say Pretorius has been taken to a safe location and they are in the process of obtaining a statement from him. Thabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
In the National Assembly, DA Member of Parliament Diane Kohler-Barnard has told Parliament's Police Ad Hoc Committee that she never mishandled classified intelligence information and the information was already in the public domain. Kohler-Barnard is currently on the hot seat before the Ad Hoc Committee facing allegations related to crime intelligence and the purchase of a luxury hotel by the unit for 23 million rand using the secret slush fund. Kohler-Barnard was accused by KwaZulu-Natal Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi of sharing the information and also of being part of a criminal syndicate. Babalo Ndenza has more.
Diane Kohler-Barnard has told the ad hoc committee in her affidavit that information in relation to the purchase of the Pretoria North property was already in the news. She says her January 2025 statement was informed by a News 24 article and a statement by Public Works Minister Dean McPherson that the property was not bought through his department. She told the ad hoc committee during her evidence that procurement and the slush fund are the source of the police's problems.
Certainly the slush fund is a huge problem. Looking globally, it's often handled differently to the way it is handled here. Everyone has that sort of slush fund in terms of where it's needed, crime intelligence, etc. But certainly the handling of it has been extremely difficult.
Kohler-Barnard's evidence continues and will be followed by fellow MP Fadil Adams tomorrow, where he will face similar allegations. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
In Mpumalanga, Action SA leader Herman Mashaba says some of the country's Chapter 9 institutions need to be overhauled as the Lily Mine families continue to fight for justice 10 years since the tragedy. 3 people died when a crown pillar underground collapsed in February 2016, bringing parts of the mine down. The remains of Preeti Nkambule, Yvonne Mnisi and Solomon Nyirenda were never recovered. An inquiry into their deaths later found that police, government and mine management at the time failed to prevent what was described as an avoidable disaster, but no one has been held accountable for the tragedy. The families approached the South African Human Rights Commission yesterday to file a complaint against the National Prosecuting Authority and the Mineral Petroleum Resources Department over claims that they failed the victims. Mashaba joined the families and the local mining community today to commemorate the 10th year anniversary of the mine collapse.
The establishment of the South African Human Rights Commission, the establishment of the Public Protector was just a facade to deceive us South Africans that they care about us. But here's a clear indication of how uncaring this government is. It's about the oligarchs so that they can have money under the sofas, so that they can buy Lamborghinis. They can be billionaires overnight. The poor black South Africans in particular, they're on their own.
The South African Social Security Agency says it will conduct 420,000 beneficiary reviews in the current financial year as part of efforts to clamp down on ineligible grant payments. The agency says 400,000 social grant beneficiaries have already been notified to come forward and verify their beneficiary status. Briefing the media earlier today on initiatives the agency has taken to improve social grant systems, SASSA CEO Themba Matlow says the review exercise has already revealed major irregularities. Matlow says out of the 400,000 beneficiaries flagged for review, nearly 200,000 have been found not eligible to receive social grants. He adds that so far at least 240,000 grants have been reviewed and about 70,000 others suspended for failing to comply with the review process.
Data that we found is that the beneficiary, as they come to apply, they will give you a certain information. But when you get the data from Credit Bureau, the information that was applied to SASSA is not actually the same.
The agency has reiterated that the process is aimed at protecting public funds and ensuring grants allocated to qualifying beneficiaries. And UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has today apologized to the victims of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein for appointing disgraced Peter Mandelson as US ambassador. Starmer's wide-ranging apology follows fresh allegations about Mandelson's cozy ties to Epstein, which emerged in newly released files last Friday. Starmer fired former UK Minister and EU Trade Commissioner Mandelson last September after only 7 months as ambassador in Washington following an earlier release of the files about Epstein. The former envoy was one of numerous prominent figures featured in last week's latest revelations of ties to the late US financier who died by suicide in jail in 2019, facing charges of alleged sex trafficking. Email exchanges between them showed a warm, intimate friendship, finance dealings, private photos, as well as evidence that Mandelson passed confidential and potentially market-sensitive information to Epstein nearly 2 decades ago. Gold's trading at $4,821.97 an ounce. The rand's at 16.19 to the dollar, at 21.98 to the pound, at 19.10 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $68.76 a barrel.
Well, if you're traveling through Woodmead heading towards Rivonia, we still have slow-moving traffic. This is on the N1 southbound between the Pretorius Interchange and Rivonia Road. Also driving through the Sandton Melrose area, heading towards the Joburg CBD, slow-moving traffic on the M1 southbound between Kohler-Barnard and Killarney Bends.
In US sport, India hand the Pretorius a brutal dose of reality in their T20 World Cup warm-up. Kaizer Chiefs licking their wounds following Nedbank Cup exit. And Mark Gay ineligible to play for Manchester City in Carabao Cup final. I'll look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng. Today, temperatures are peaking at highs between 30 and 31 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour, President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for stronger protection for witnesses following an attempted hit on a man implicated in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
Calling all the brightest minds in Gauteng. Time to flex your general knowledge smarts in the brain of 702. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. T's and C's apply.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
.702 Drive with John Perlman is proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possibility begins here. Good afternoon, everyone. It is 10 minutes past 3 on Thursday, the 5th of February. This is 702 Drive with me, John Perlman. Wherever you are listening to us in 702 land, welcome to the show. As you heard a moment ago, President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling for greater protection for people involved in the Madlanga Commission. This after the attempt today on the life of Yandre Pretorius. He was earlier named by witness in connection with alleged illegal conduct by the EMPD, the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. But who should be providing this protection and what would work? Is it protection forever? How can this be sustained? More on that after 5. In other stories, as the water situation in Midrand slowly improves, we're told, we hope, there are other areas of Johannesburg, the west side of the city, for example, where residents are facing a dire situation as a result of the city's failing infrastructure and systems. More on that after 4 with Daily Maverick's Ferrell Hafferty, who's been digging into the details. How is AI affecting the way university students go about studying and submitting work? Dr. Piet van Aert is at the University of the Free State. He and colleagues have made a study of this. He'll join us to share his findings at 10 to 4. But if you're a student, maybe you're doing correspondence, maybe you're attending university as a full-time person in lectures and tutorials, AI in your academic life, what are you seeing? What are you finding? By the way, if you're a teacher as well of any kind, what are you seeing by way of the work you receive? from people who are depending more and more, if they are, on AI. I must say I do not use it very much myself. In fact, I don't really use it at all, so I could use some help from some of you who do. And as the DA prepares for life under a new leader, what are the latest round of by-elections say about the challenges the new man or woman in charge will face in this election year? We'll go through the results, which, spoiler alert, have actually been better for the DA than others earlier this year, where they gave up some ground to the Patriotic Alliance. But more on that at about 3:25 with analyst Wayne Sussman. On the markets, just when you thought it was safe to go heavy on metals again, the resources index is down by nearly 5.4%. The gold price down by $125. The platinum price down by 6.88%. Implats down by 8.3%. Northam down by 8.1%. Sibanye weaker by almost 8%. I think you get the picture. All of this contributing to a 1.84% fall in the all shares so far today, as platinum sinks rather like lead. That has put the rand under pressure, currently trading at 16 rand 17 against the dollar, a loss over the past 24 hours of 22 cents. A euro will cost you 19 rand and 7 cents. That's another 22-cent loss, and 21 rand 94 will get you a pound. Brent crude currently trading at $68.38 a barrel. Stephen Critters joins us with all the market news at 4:25. We'll have sport with Tolakele Mganga. Maki Mulapo has the latest news headlines. We've got Karabo Charlie keeping an eye on the roads. This is 702 Drive. We're live in the place where you live, and if it's happening in 702 land, we will do our best to bring you that news first in as much detail as we can. But if we miss a story, miss a beat, or miss an angle, please do get in touch and help us out. Give us a call on 072 702 1702 or 011 883 0702. This is 702 Drive. It's 13 minutes past 3.
702.
Let's walk the talk.
So we do have lots to talk about, many questions that definitely need to be asked, and plenty to think about as well. And when it comes to thoughts, some of the thoughts that we throw out for you to give us your views on are random, and then every once in a while they come up on, for example, social media, where there are interesting stories, either from this part of the world or from other corners. Jonathan Fairbairn, Kabazela, very good afternoon to you, putting together the show today. An Australian boy swims to save the life of his mom and siblings. 13 years old, they're out on kayaks. They get swept out to sea. And this young boy, Austin Appleby, does a 4-hour swim to save his family. But there was a very interesting angle on that you picked out. Good afternoon.
Yeah, afternoon to you, John. So this kid, I mean, a remarkable thing that he did. Swimming like that in the ocean, 4 kilometers out to go and save his mom, sibling, and his girlfriend who was with him as well, I think. And he tells the story. We're going to play a bit of the audio, but the girlfriend had given him a little bracelet or bangle on his arm, on his wrist. And I suppose he may look at that as a little lucky charm going forward, for the rest of his life. And he was still wearing it when he was telling the story and what unfolded, after he got back and rescued everybody. Let's take a listen to what he had to say.
I got a girlfriend, and I was thinking about her the whole time. She gave me her lackeys, and I was just looking at that the whole time. Just keep on swimming, just keep on swimming. I don't think it was actually me, did it? It was God the whole time. I kept on praying, and I said to God, I'll get baptized, and all that. And I went to church on Sunday.
So, obviously, thanking God there as well, which I'm sure was a big part of it. But the lackeys that he referred to was the little thing that she had given him. So I suppose you could probably look at that perhaps and say, was there some luck involved with that? Luck in life is a big thing, and some people believe in maybe items that they have as their lucky charms. So, do you perhaps have a lucky charm? And, why was that charm or whatever it was given to you? Why is it lucky? Was it because maybe you were wearing, let's say, a pair of socks on a day you went for a job interview, and you got that job interview, and you thought, maybe those socks, that did the trick, So lucky charms. People have many, many lucky charms. I'd love to hear what some of our 702 families' lucky charms are.
Do you have one?
Yeah, and the story behind them. Karabo, do you have a luckies?
Not really. No, it's not an object per se. I think it's all in my head. It started a few years ago. I don't know why, but every time I look at the clock, the digital clock, and there's a double digit, I missed it. Now it's 15, 16. If I looked at it, I was going to feel better, because every time when it's a double digit, like 15, 15, I'll just have a little prayer and just say, you know what? I got this. I don't know. It's just a mind thing. Every time when any digit, like it can be 10 past 10. And then when I look at the time and it's a double digit, I'll be like, geesh, God is great. Let me have a little prayer. That's my little charm.
Imagine if we were Talk Radio 707, I mean, you could just like look up at the logo all the time. But tell me this. I'm very interested to know. Karabo, do you consciously look out for it, or does it only feel lucky if you just happen to notice it?
Yes.
I mean, because you could be sort of looking at your watch and looking at the clock in the studio and counting it down. Or does it only have a meaning for you if it's happenstance, if it just kind of happens?
Yeah, when it's when I just randomly look at the clock, that's when it's got that deep significance. But only when it's random. I just don't look out for it. I just spot it randomly.
Okay, well, that's really interesting. So we were talking about lucky charms, but Karabo Chali giving us a slightly different take on it, almost like a lucky moment in a day. But if you've got a lucky charm, who gave it to you? How did you acquire it? What's the backstory behind it? And what has happened in your life to make you feel that it has that specific value for you? Of course, the thing about a lucky pair of socks, got to go in the wash sometime. And luck, you can't always exhaust it. You can't, I don't think, even if you, never mind whether the socks have been washed or not, you can't wear them all the time, I would think. You've got to only draw on the power at a certain point. Anyway, it's your lucky charm, not mine. Your story, not mine. 072 702 1702. It's 19 minutes past 3. Let's see if we're going to be lucky in the traffic today. Karabo Chale.
Well, at this stage, I'm afraid if you're in the Woodmead area, no luck for you. You can expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Rivonia. There's an accident scene N1 southbound. This is causing about a 20-minute delay between the Pretorius Interchange and Rivonia Road. Also in the Midrand area heading towards Pretoria, traffic a bit sluggish. This is on the N1 northbound between Allendale and New Road. And if you're leaving the Sandton area, traffic is sluggish as well. This is on Grayston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive. Okay, let's turn to the story. A very, very troubling one indeed. You would have heard the details of this earlier in the bulletin with Maki Molapo. She's back, by the way, at 3:30 with an update on this story and some others, I'm sure. But Tabiso Gorba was out in Boksburg, outside the home of one Yandre Pretorius, whose name came up in the course of the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Police have confirmed that there was an attempt to kill him this morning. He was shot at earlier today as he was leaving his house. So let's get the very latest then from Tabiso Gorba. Tabiso, good afternoon to you. What more do we know about Yandre Pretorius and the way in which his name came up at the Madlanga Commission? Before we talk about the attempted hit, perhaps you could just set the scene that way. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, John. So what we do know about Yandre Pretorius, he was name dropped by the late witness D. The late witness D being Marius van der Merwe. Marius van der Merwe, you remember that he testified about a suspect that was allegedly tortured to death by a group of private security guards and some rogue officials, some rogue police officers from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police Department. And that meant they took his body and it was dumped at a lake in Germiston. And that's what witness D alleged happened in April 2022, and then witness D said Mr. Yandre Pretorius was present on the day, and he may have participated in some of the torture and the subsequent covering up of that body, of the men who we now know as Emmanuel Benze, whose body was later discovered at a lake in Germiston. So that's how Mr. Yandre Pretorius is linked to the Madlanga Commission through that testimony by witness D.
Thanks for that context, Tabiso. To take us then to the scene, what have police managed to learn, if they are sharing in any way what Mr. Pretorius has said about the attempt on his life? I believe there is a voice note that is in circulation where he gives his address and says, come and assist me here. Again, he gives the address. I'm not going to repeat that. They shot my bucky. I don't know if it's a hit or something. I managed to get out. Oh, what have you picked up outside the house?
Yes, John. So what we have learned, from the police, as you can imagine, it's still an investigation. It's still early on. But I can tell you that the forensic teams have just wrapped up, and those yellow police lines or those yellow police tapes have now been taken down, and it's sort of starting to come back to normal. But what we have learned is that there was at least 16 shots that were fired at Yandre Pretorius. They were fired by unknown gunmen who were in a car. That car is not known yet in terms of the make and the exact number of it. However, police have been able to get some CCTV footage at some of the houses here. This is a very suburban area, John, and we can even also see that a number of houses have CCTV cameras. So the police investigators were speaking to some of the neighbors and gathering that CCTV footage to obviously try and build a case. We do know that Mr. Yandre Pretorius, he was somehow, I don't mean this in any way, but he did survive the attempt. He apparently, when the shots were happening, he came out of his car and he hid under his car, and that's how he survived. So he's given a police statement. He's been taken to a safe house for safety reasons, as you can imagine, and obviously the police are investigating the issue. And just lastly, John, we do know that this is not the first time that someone implicated in the Madlanga Commission has had something like this happen. You'll know that controversial businessman Brown Mohoti, he's also survived an assassination attempt in November last year. And then there was the death of Mr. Marius van der Merwe, witness D, in December last year. And now we have this incident today. And we did ask the police Gauteng Commissioner, Mr. Tommy Mtombeni, whether there's any link between these three incidents. And he said so far they haven't been able to draw any links between those incidents. However, they are investigating, John.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tabiso Goba. I mean, it is an extremely, extremely worrying scenario. One would have thought that this would have been expected. There would have been some preparation for something like this happening. But we're going to try and find out after 5 o'clock what's actually involved in protecting people under these circumstances. And then the pool of people who might need protection, I think, grows all the time. It's not just the Madlanga Commission, of course. It is also the ad hoc parliamentary committee looking into the same issues: criminality, corruption, and political interference in the criminal justice system. So the number of names out there, I think, is a substantial one, and it can only grow. I don't know if you've ever used some kind of personal protection, if you've ever been in a situation where you felt you've needed it. The big question that for me arises as well is, for how long is this protection going to be required? The threat to people can last for a long, long time. The Commission is not going to finish its work very, very quickly. If there are prosecutions, those are probably going to take years. So the threat pretty much stays out there. And the likelihood as well would be that even if some people who are part of a particular criminal enterprise get arrested, put before the courts, convicted and put in jail, that doesn't mean that everybody and their entire network gets pulled up root and branch. So highly problematic and a lot to be concerned about there. Couple of things we're going to be doing on the show. 011 883 0702 072 702 if you'd like to give us a call. Drought has been declared a national disaster in 3 provinces. Now, the 3 provinces are the Western Cape, the Eastern Cape, and the Northern Cape. I mean, it's an extraordinarily and really quite awful situation in many ways in our country, because on the one hand, we've got national disasters. I don't think they've been declared in places like Limpopo and in Mpumalanga with absolutely torrential rain, with infrastructure problems compounding the impact of that rain. And it's very similar with the drought. That the state, for example, of water provision and crucially of water loss has compounded the impact of unexpectedly low rainfall. The water we have in those provinces getting lost left, right and centre in so many towns and metros. And that's a huge, huge problem, plus the water that is being used but that people are not paying for. But on the subject of national disaster, so it's been declared. What happens next? Dr. Elias Sitole is head of the National Disaster Management Center, and he'll be my guest at about 20 minutes past 4, talking about those problems and how this declaration might mitigate them. 27 minutes past 3.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
So my lucky charm is my wallet. Whenever I go out, I'm a businessman who does landscaping and tattoo art or body art. So whenever I go out, I just make sure I have my wallet, and I feel like it's gonna refill, or it's gonna get full, or it's gonna make money. But my lucky charm is my wallet.
Hello, Tata John. I'm hoping my boyfriend's going to call in. I'm waiting because I'm his lucky charm. I just feel like I'm a good omen. He always gets really good favor when I'm around.
Yeah, well, I never even thought about that, a person being a lucky charm. As soon as we use the word charm, my mind went to jewelry, perhaps a piece of clothing, something like that. Yeah, a person as a lucky charm. We had Karabo Chale, of course, talking about how when he sees certain numbers that are mirrored, 909 or, yeah, what some other examples he gave 11 minutes past 11, 12 minutes past 12. There's a whole day's worth of them. But when he sees those numbers, he recognizes it as something positive or lucky in his life, and then he follows it up with a prayer. We're going to talk after 4, as I said earlier, with Ferial Hafaji, Associate Editor of Daily Maverick. There is a story in Daily Maverick today by Sune Payne, I think it is. I'll double check that and give proper credit where it's due. But there's a quite extraordinary sentence or set of 2 sentences in the story that I want to read for you. And we'll try and get confirmation about the ins and outs of this. But let me read it for you, and then please, I'm throwing this open for any of you who are suffering water shortages in any part of Johannesburg. Please do get in touch and give us a ring and tell us what's happening on 072 702 1702. Listen to this. At the Brixton Reservoir and Tower Complex, one of the most fragile in the city's water system, a pump broke down last week, but Joburg Water did not have spare parts on hand to fix it. Jacobs, and they're referring to Ward Councillor Kyle Jacobs, said he was informed on Thursday last week that there were no spare parts at the depot to fix the pump. The pump has still not been repaired, meaning reduced pumping. Joburg Water's latest statement alludes to technical difficulties without giving a time frame for the completion of the work. My recollection, and we'll talk to Ferial Hafaji about this after 4, was that the upgrading of the Brixton Reservoir and Tower Complex was, I wouldn't call it a jewel in the crown, but it was an exemplar of what can be done with focus and the correct allocation of money, and that what can be done by way of renewing infrastructure. So I'm very surprised to see that Brixton is appearing in the news and appearing in conversation in the way that it has. But more on that after 4. If you've got something to share on that, please do. Yvonne Grimbeek is the Daily Maverick journalist who did that story. So, yeah, if you want to check it out, the headline, most of Joburg without water as multiple systems fail. It's 29 minutes to 4. Right, let's get the very latest eyewitness news. Marky Molapo is watching things for us. A very good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. We begin in Mpumalanga, where the families of the Lily Mine 3 that were buried alive in 2016 are still camped outside the site 10 years after the tragedy. Today marks a decade since Preeti Nkambule, Yvonne Mnisi and Solomon Nyirenda were last seen at the mine. In February 2016, a crown pillar underground collapsed and dragged down a container the three were working. Their remains were never retrieved. Nogukanya Mtambo is there.
The families erected a tent near the mine's perimeter in 2019. Since then, they've been praying for the remains of their loved ones to be recovered. The campsite was later moved about a kilometre away. A tent for sleeping, a tent used as a makeshift kitchen, and a small structure no one seems to remember who it belonged to. Despite repeated calls for justice that have gone nowhere, the families say they're prepared to stay here for as long as necessary to keep the memories of the trio alive. The family's spokesperson, Harry Mazibugo.
To us as the families, we call it 10 years of torture, 10 years of betrayal, 10 years of lies, 10 years of empty promises by our government.
Like every year, those affected will visit the site for a prayer. Nogukanya Mtambo at the Lily Mine near Barberton in Mpumalanga.
In the courts, the Pretoria Magistrates Court has heard that the release on bail of 2 VIP bodyguards accused of killing an SA Air Force member would pose a serious threat to the state's sole witness. Tabang Sohole and Michael Makampe, who were assigned to Madibeng Mayor Douglas Maimani, are accused of shooting and killing Sergeant Michael Swanton. The incident occurred on the R80 road near Mabopane in January. At the time of the shooting, Swanton was travelling with his wife. She is the state's sole witness. Has more.
According to the investigating officer, Sergeant Lesecha Mapia, the couple was stopped by the accused who were flashing blue lights. They were then questioned about why they did not give way. The situation quickly escalated, with the 2 bodyguards shouting and exposing their firearms, including a rifle. Mapia says the deceased asked for the officer's identification and believed they were going to retrieve it from the vehicle, but instead her husband was shot. She reportedly heard a single gunshot and saw the bodyguard's vehicle driving away from the scene with the mayor in the car. The court heard that the woman now fears for her life and has alluded to moving house. The state prosecutor advocate Chris Marumo argues that if anything were to happen to her, it will spell the end of the case. He added that she should be protected at all costs, including keeping the accused behind bars. Dimakato Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Pretoria Magistrates Court.
And social grant activist Elizabeth Reuters is urging SASSA to tighten its grant review and payment processes. The Social Security Agency says 400,000 beneficiaries have already been notified to come forward for reviews. So far, 240,000 grants have been reviewed, and about 70,000 grants were suspended after beneficiaries failed to complete the process. Reuters says many beneficiaries are caught off guard due to poor communication. She says elderly grant recipients are often unaware that they're due for review and stand to lose their only source of income.
I feel last year they targeted the old people, and a lot of old people went for months without their SASSA grants. I also think SASSA can do better of actually letting a beneficiary know before payday that they're up for review.
A look at your weather. It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng. Today, temperatures are peaking at highs of 30 and 31 degrees.
In Woodmead, heading towards Rivonia, there's an accident seen on the N1 southbound, still causing about a 20-minute delay between the Patloo interchange and Rivonia Road. As a result of that accident scene, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. That's the alternative route of Witkoppen Road between Maxwell Drive and Rivonia Road. And in Sandton, traffic sluggish on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine.
The top story in Eyewitness News. The families of the Lily Mine 3 that were buried alive in 2016 are still camped outside the site 10 years after the tragedy.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Normally you guys are busy as ministers. You're moving from one meeting to the next. You're always on the road. Do you have opportunities where you just take the music in?
I really miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, when I was still driving myself, driving alone, I could play. Unfortunately, are missing that opportunity.
Well, you
Because
can tell them when they drive you to play.
the problem, you need to read.
Yeah.
If you don't read, going to meetings, you mess up things. And
Yeah.
if you don't read as a leader, you just go a wrong direction.
And you end up not knowing what you're talking
Exactly.
about. IFP leader and Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Velenkosini Shabisa.
Clements Manyatela.
9 to 12 on 702.
South Africa's musical theatre classic Marabi returns on the stage of the Market Theatre with an exceptional cast. Launching the theatre's 50th anniversary year, this much-loved play with live music is directed by original cast member Arthur Molepo. Set in the tough Twinfontein yards of the 1930s, Marabi follows a family chasing hope in Johannesburg, bound by love, loss and unforgettable music. Marabi runs from the 29th of January to the 15th of February. Visit markettheatre.co.za for tickets.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
Get the advantage this tax year end with Sage. No stress, no scrambling. Just seamless HR and payroll that keeps you ahead of UIF, PAYE, and employment equity, all in one smart cloud solution. With automated compliance, real-time accuracy, and simplified HR and payroll, give your business the tax year end advantage. That's Sage. Visit tax.sage.co.za today.
Know a little about a lot, from headlines to horsepower, parenting to pop culture. If you stay switched on with News 24, it's time to cash in. Play the Raise Your Game quiz every day this week from 1 p.m. on 702 afternoons with Rilebogile Mabocha. Answer 3 questions, stack your winnings and walk away with up to 5,000 Rand cash. Thanks to News 24. Enter now on primemediaplus.com. The Raise Your Game quiz with News 24. Only on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com.
EWN Sport.
Right, Tolakele Mganga, what's better before a World Cup, to be great in the warm-ups or to, suffer a couple of setbacks and use it to fine-tune what it is that you want to do when the tournament starts?
To have very low expectations and then absolutely demolish the host nation in the final.
Okay, but we played India yesterday. Tell us about it.
Well, John, the Proteas T20 World Cup preparations suffered a blow following a 30-run loss to India in their final warm-up match. Consultant Albie Morkel admits that the conditions were brutal for the bowlers, but they need to adapt.
I think we saw tonight, and also the series South Africa played in India a couple of weeks ago and New Zealand now, that's, it's a brutal environment as a bowler to come out and do your thing. There's not a lot of bounce in the wickets. It's really true low bounce, skiddy with a lot of dew in the evening. So as a bowler, you've got your work cut out for you.
Kaizer Chiefs face the possibility of a trophyless season, having been knocked out of the Nedbank Cup after a 2-1 loss to Stellenbosch, who are coached by former mentor Gavin Hunt. The Glamour Boys are the first defending champions to be eliminated in the round of 32, while co-coach Cedric Kaze believes that his players didn't have the right attitude at the start of the game.
First 20 minutes, we lost a lot of duels. We considered as well 2 goals that I believe were avoidable. From that, even first half, after conceding the 2 goals, we came back in the game. We missed a couple opportunities, 2 or 3 good opportunities to score. Second half, we came back with better intentions, with better mentality. We tried our best.
Chippa United have confirmed the departure of Nigerian international goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali, who's been released from the club following a mutual agreement. Nwabali joined Chippa in 2022 and went on to make 76 appearances for the Chile Boys, while his exploits led to a call-up to the Super Eagles side. That's where he entrenched himself as the number one at successive AFCONs. And over to the Carabao Cup, where Mark Guehi will not be allowed to play in the final for Manchester City, as the EFL will not change their rules regarding eligibility. Pep Guardiola had said after they win over Newcastle, they would seek permission for him to feature in the March 22 showdown against Arsenal. Competition rules dictate that a player needs to join his new club prior to the closure of the January transfer window or the first leg of the semi-final to be eligible to play.
Why should Eno play? So why not? So he's a player, we pay his salary, we hire him as it's our player, why shouldn't play? It's like it's quite similar Champions League, right? The last two games cannot play Mark on the other one when you have an our player. So they make the rule when is the transfer window is open or closed. So when it's closed, when you have a player, is tomorrow have a game, they can play. No? It's logic.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Okay, let's get out onto the roads now. One more time with Karabo Chali. Anything building up as we move deep into rush hour?
Well, we still have that accident scene, John, in the Woodmead area. This is on the N1 southbound, still causing about a 30-minute delay between the Pretorius interchange and Rivonia Road. As a result, that alternative route, Witkoppen Road, is also heavily backed up between Maxwell Drive and Rivonia Road, while in Sandton, traffic is sluggish, leaving the area heading towards the M1. That's on Greyston Drive between Rivonia Road and Catherine Street. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Edenville at Morafontein Road and Van Riebeek. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
Tola Kelly, when you're doing your sports report, my watch sort of vibrated and said, "It's time to move!" ! Stand up and walk around. You're not hacking my watch telling me that I'm, too sedentary, are you? And that would be the role of a sports reporter. Tola Kelly, question for you. Do you have a lucky charm? Have you ever had one? And if you did or do, what's the story behind it?
I have a Libra keyring that I got, I think maybe 5-6 years ago. And anytime, because it's with my car keys and I don't really think about it, but anytime if I'm grabbing my car keys and it's the thing that I grab first, I feel like it's going to be a good day because I just reminded the universe that it has to look out for me. So that's my lucky charm.
And did you buy it for yourself? Was it a gift? How did it come into your life?
We were Christmas shopping with a friend because it was her first Christmas with her partner, and we were buying like a whole bunch of things. And I was like, well, I needed X amount of money to get like a discount on something, and I was like, let me just grab this, and then I got the discount, so I bought it for myself.
I'm too neurotic to have a lucky charm because I think I'll spend most of the time worrying about it. And if I were to lose it, I would then assume that things are going to go pear-shaped and sideways. I mean, you're easy with it. If you lose it, so be it.
No, I never want to lose it because it's also pink. And for me, it's very important to have pink things randomly around me.
Yes.
So if I lose it, there will be a problem.
Okay, lucky charms, please do give us a call on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. Still to come on the show, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, but you might have only just joined us. We're going to do a deep dive, an extensive look into the water problems in the city of Johannesburg. Daily Maverick has been doing a lot of on-the-ground research, and Ferrell Hafferty, Associate Editor, is going to join us with that. But in the meanwhile, if I could get updates from you, if you're living in an area where the water problems have been significant and severe, give us a call. And the other angle that you may want to just explore as you consider whether to get in touch or not is maybe you've lived in an area where there have been problems before. Maybe things are going fine, okay, but there's a sense, nevertheless, of precariousness about the arrangements and about the way in which you are likely to be served with water or not. Whatever's on your mind, call me on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. It's coming up now for 14 minutes to 4.
John is on X.
At John Perlman.
I'm very interested in students and study, probably in part because it's such a long time since I've actually been a student of any kind. But I think more particularly, I'm interested in it because of what I observe from young people coming into the world of work in the various areas where I work and interact with people, I'll just say it, earlier in their career than I am. So, for example, if AI is having a significant impact on people as students, I would have thought that as that generation who depend more and more on AI move into the world of work, we'll start seeing impacts in various kinds of workplaces. I don't think I've seen anything that I could say I've particularly noticed. But fortunately, there are studies being done further back in the process, i.e. not in the workplace, but involving university students. Now, Dr. Piet van Aert is the coordinator of the Initiative for Creative African Narratives, and he's also a lecturer in academic literacy at the University of the Free State. He's been taking a look at how students who are involved at the University of Free State's Writing Centre might be influenced by AI, for good or maybe not so good. Dr. van Aert, welcome and thanks very much for your time. Tell us, first of all, what you've been looking at before we start exploring your conclusions. Welcome.
Thank you, John. Thank you for having me. Yes, at the Writing Centre at the University of the Free State, we've noticed that more and more students are relying on generative AI and using that to try and answer some of their assignments, write some of their essays. And it just really hit us, the impact that it has on these students and how they do not really come up with answers that's relevant to the questions that they were asked.
Have you, in the course of that, had engagements with, students say, look, John, this is what we asked you to do. This is what you've shown us in terms of potential and possibility. And we don't get why you're giving us what we've just got. I mean, in other words, to what extent did you interrogate the subjects of your study? Interrogate is the wrong word. I think you know what I mean. Inquire.
Yes, inquire. We, as part of our normal doings at the Writing Centre, we sit down with students one-on-one, and we go through these assignments with them, trying to understand where they're coming from, what they are trying to say, because obviously in South Africa, you have the language issue. So many students that are not English first language speakers, and so sometimes their message or their ideas get lost in just the going over into English. But when we realize the problem comes in when the students do not even know what they are saying anymore, because it's not really them doing the majority of the writing or the research. And then it's very difficult. Then you can also pick up whether, the student actually, it's their own writing that you're busy with, or whether it's something that they took off of a website or generative AI. So we do speak to them, one-on-one, and we've been doing this. This is a normal way of doing things for many years now, but recently it's become more and more prevalent.
One of the things that strikes me, and for me this is, I don't know if it's philosophical or pedagogical or whatever, but what I label it is not really the point. But it seems to me that if students are researching for compliance, i.e. to get something done, the consequences go beyond the quality of the material submitted. But I would have thought this has implications for the way their minds develop, because surely part of research is also not to come up with answers, but to come up with greater curiosity, more questions, and possibly and hopefully a degree of confusion.
That's 100% correct, John. That is the main reason a university exists, is to facilitate the learning process of young people or youngish people. And if you take away the component of critical thinking, academic reading, those things, not even mentioning writing, just those things.
Yes.
It does take out a lot of the development of these people who are supposed to become the next, the minds to lead the next generation. And so that is very, very concerning.
I want to read for people, because the way you did your contribution to the conversation, which is, of course, an excellent website making accessible academic contributions, not just from South African intellectuals and researchers, but from all over the world. And I strongly recommend it to you, theconversation.com. But somebody asked you the question, how can you tell if a text is written by a student or is AI generated? And I'll just read 3 sentences that you obviously wrote, not AI. It says, flawless grammar and cliches are the first 2 signs. Generic, shallow reasoning is another. Finally, the generative AI answer does not tend to relate well to the topics set in a local context. And I want to, in the context of those sentences, ask you this, Dr. van Aert. Is fear of failure somewhere underpinning this? Because I'm wondering if there is a way of saying to students, particularly as your faculty is, or your division at the university is about creativity, it is about writing, to say, give me your best stuff. I don't want perfect stuff. I want your stuff. And you're not necessarily going to fail.
Yeah, so we're sitting in a difficult position here, John, because on the one hand, South African universities or African universities really want to push for local knowledge and
yes,
creating that and cultivating that. But on the other hand, the message is being thrown out to students that, this generative AI bot thingy can write much better than you can and can do it perfectly well.
Yes.
So there's definitely this fear of failure from the student side, because they are getting bombarded by these messages. And if you go into Facebook, on all these social media platforms, there are so many adverts currently popping up telling they can help you with your assignment, they can do this for your writing, I can fix everything for you. And so definitely they will feel like, well, if this thing can do it better than I can, why not use it so that I can get better marks? But the thing is, what we see is with when they want to have to create their own discussions and reach their own points, we see that these things, these bots, these AI, generative AI sites, it really doesn't do well with especially African content, like I said, their localized content, because it's so much, these systems are so educated, is the wrong word, but that's the word that the industry uses. They're taught on Western and Northern-centric texts, and so you can see, not always that easily, but in many cases, you can quickly see that a text is taken, it's scraped from the internet from in a Northern and Western context, and therefore it means nothing for that student, and also their voice, they're not taking part in the academic discourse anymore. They are being excluded because of this over-reliance on this technology.
I want to give people one other example again from your piece in the conversation, and then start exploring with you, Dr. van Aert, the idea of some remedies. But you and I'm quoting directly here. Third-year students studying geography were asked to write a 10-page essay on the history and future of sustainability and how it applied to Africa. The students, and now I'm paraphrasing, were referred to a report that addresses challenges in sustainability. But then what you get back is a whole lot of generic stuff: global inequality, environmental justice, linking human rights, sustainability and peace. And then this sentence, and I'll quote you directly again, but nowhere was South Africa even mentioned. I have to say, that must have been incredibly depressing, because, or demoralizing, maybe not depressing, but I mean, surely students know that they're being invited to talk about the place where they live.
Yes, that is, like I said, I think they're sitting in a difficult position as students.
Yes.
On the one hand, we want to get them involved in the academic discourse and especially create local content, local knowledge in the African context. But on the other hand, there are these messages bombarding them that they have to use this thing if they want to write perfectly well. And so we as universities must start focusing more on the emphasis of the student voice, how important it is for them when they take part in the discourse, the discussions. that is the way for us to hopefully to motivate them, because the students, all of them have, each of us has something to say, something unique to say, even if it's about academic content. The way that I interrogate something is different than you would, John. And so we would both be able to bring something unique to the table. We must just get to the point where our message becomes stronger than in the sense that we were interested in their voices.
How do we start fixing this? Because on the one hand, one could have a set of rules and guidelines, and when students are over the line, you tell them once, you tell them twice, and then maybe you accept that there's a problem that needs a stiffer remedy. But it does seem to me there's a mindset almost, and there needs to be some sort of atmosphere change, because you keep referring, and it's interesting that you do, Dr. van Aert, that students are being bombarded with other messages that in a subliminal way say, what you do is not good enough, but don't worry, we'll fix it. But we'll fix it in a way that doesn't improve you. It just ensures that you get over the bar, which in the long term is of no value at all, I would suggest.
Yes, so all universities are scrambling around this issue, trying to find ways to create policies that will, on the one hand, embrace this technology, because it is here now. It's like when Google emerged in the 90s and everybody had a freak out about the search function, and nobody's going to use books anymore because you can just search everything. We did obviously learn that you could still use Google for proper research, but it was a bit different because it didn't take away the agency of people reading and writing themselves, whereas generative AI does take away that academic agency. So universities are busy trying to figure out and putting in place systems and rules and so forth. It's very difficult, because once policy, it becomes a policy, you're kind of bound to it, and this technology develops so quickly, and it's becoming so difficult to track that I think sometimes universities are running behind Silicon Valley now, trying to adapt to whatever they're doing, instead of letting adapting the technology to the pedagogy. The pedagogy must lead the technology, not the other way around. So there are challenges, and it is difficult, but in the same sense, we must also make sure that we understand that AI, artificial intelligence, there's a place in the world. It has a place for people to learn and explore and all those things. But in this specific case that we're talking about, that takes away the academic voice and the agency, we're talking about generative AI. And so perhaps we should be a bit more strict on when we allow students to use that. There has been some suggestions that it becomes something that they are allowed to use at postgraduate level, because by then they have learned how to read and write academically, to think critically, and to apply all those literacies, and therefore in postgraduate level they will be able to use these tools, generative AI tools, in a responsible and productive way. That is it.
Yeah. No, this is a crucial conversation, and thank you to Dr. Piet van Aert joining us from the University of the Free State. Have a look at his piece on theconversation.com. There are so many issues here that I think are crucial as we look ahead, not just to what happens to younger South Africans, young adults who are in universities, but their passage from there into the world of work and the role they are going to play, a crucial one, in moving the country forward. I'd love to get your views on that. I've got a couple of interesting ones already that I will share with you, but yours, please.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I referenced a moment ago killings in Nigeria, and Eunice, you've got some thoughts on that.
Whatever is happening in Nigeria, clearly even a Nigerian government tells you it's criminal. Not long ago when Trump bombed Nigeria, he said there was a Christian genocide going on there. Why is it that he didn't give the same refugee status to black Christians from Nigeria? Or is it a case of if you're black, you're right at the back?
1,080 days until the 20th of January 2029, which will be the day he walks out of the White House, one way or another.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
The Cape Town Cycle Tour returns on Sunday, 8 March, inviting riders to be part of one of the world's most iconic cycling events. Choose between the classic 109-kilometre route or the 42-kilometre option, both offering unforgettable scenery along the way. And in 2026, the tour gains UCI Gran Fondo World Series status with the opportunity to qualify for the World Championships. Enter now at capetowncycletour.com.
For Mamotati and Kensani of Design News, a beautiful room starts with a rock-solid connection. Tell us what was slowing down your growth.
It would have to be slow network coverage.
Now, Telkom Business Fiber lets the team process large renders while the landline keeps supplier calls coming in.
Get Call Light Fiber from 655 Rand per month and unlimited VoIP 1 from 99 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. This is EWN.
President Ramaphosa says plans afoot to implement Madlanga Commission recommendations, and Russia and the US to discuss nuclear weapon treaty. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Molapo. President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling for patience from the public as government works to implement the recommendations of an interim report from the Madlanga Commission. The president says the process will take a while as a final report is only set to be released in March. Ramaphosa was speaking earlier today on the sidelines of an engagement with SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter in Pretoria. Jabli Lembata has more.
When the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry began in September last year, President Cyril Ramaphosa ordered for a report to be issued within 3 months. However, only an interim report has been released so far, with the final one expected to be out in March this year. This is while a parallel process is underway in Parliament by the ad hoc committee. Ramaphosa has acknowledged that there are strong calls for immediate action against those who have been implicated in the commission, especially against suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. He told the media today that he accepts the recommendations of the commission in the interim report and is awaiting the final report for further guidance. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
In the East Rand, the Van Dyke Park community in Boksburg has been left reeling after an attempted hit outside the home of a man implicated in the Madlanga Commission. In a narrow escape of death, Yandre Pretorius survived 16 bullets fired at him this morning by unknown gunmen. Testimony by the late witness D, whose real name is Marius van der Merwe, linked Pretorius to the torture and murder of a Brakpan man whose body was dumped at a lake in Germiston. Tabiso Goba has the story.
Shock and horror. That's what most of the residents at Van Dyke Park who've spoken to EWN say they are feeling. Resident Stoffel Rasso says most of the neighborhood was woken up by the sound of rapid gunshots this morning.
Us as the neighborhood, we try and look out for each other, but this is very close to home that this happened. I think everybody's afraid.
Other residents who wish to remain anonymous say they are scared for their safety.
You know, it's very shocking for a person to see something like this happen in your area. You think you're safe, but it's a big shock.
I've been staying here for like 33 years and nothing like that happened ever.
In the meantime, Gauteng police say a case of attempted murder has been opened. Tabiso Goba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
The Democratic Alliance is asking President Cyril Ramaphosa, Parliament and the Public Protector to investigate the decision-making in the appointment of Secretary of Parliament, Xolile George. It's written to the President asking him to issue a proclamation for the Special Investigating Unit to conduct a probe into suspected maladministration and abuse of power at the legislature. Simultaneously, the party has also lodged a complaint with the public protector to investigate the approvals by the former presiding officers Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula and Amos Masondo to approve a salary hike that put George's salary at more than double what was budgeted for. Lindsay Dentlinger has more.
Xolile George's now almost 5 million rand salary has been a point of contention since his appointment in 2022. In an almost 400-page affidavit, National Council of Provinces MP Rikus Badenhorst lays out what appears to have been the manipulation of a recruitment process and the doctoring of an employment contract to make George an offer for a salary higher than the 2.2 million rand earmarked for the position. The DA is also asking for an investigation into whether expenditure on the 2023 BRICS Parliamentary Forum exceeded budget by 6 million rand. DA MP Rikus Badenhorst.
At a time when millions of South Africans are battling poverty, it is unacceptable for taxpayer money to be squandered on luxury.
In 2023, the media blew the lid on the 70% salary hike for George, approved by former Speaker Nosiviwe Mapisa-Nqakula and National Council of Provinces chairperson Amos Masondo after only 6 months into his 5-year term. Lindsay Dentlinger, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
The National Student Financial Aid Scheme says it's made significant progress towards approving as many higher education students as possible. More than 600,000 students have been approved for funding for the 2026 academic year, with more than 85,000 in the process of verification. The scheme has also rejected 116,000 applicants. NSFAS is not taking any new applications for the current academic year, but is dealing with the administration relating to applications already made. Spokesperson Ishmael Mnisi.
At the moment, NSFAS is still taking both the consent form and the declaration form. However, the challenge is that students are not filling in these forms correctly, and all areas that are highlighted in the form must be filled in because they are important for NSFAS to process the application.
And the United States and Russia have agreed to re-establish high-level military-to-military dialogue. The commitment comes hours after the expiration of the last treaty imposing limits on the pair's nuclear arsenals. According to the U.S. military's European command, maintaining dialogue between militaries is an important factor in global stability and peace. The agreement to re-establish the military dialogue came after progress at Ukraine peace talks in Abu Dhabi, attended by Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and son-in-law Jared Kushner. Gold's trading at $4,825.48 an ounce. The rand's at 16.16 to the dollar, at 21.94 to the pound, at 19.08 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $67.59 a barrel.
Woodmead, we're still dealing with that accident seen on the N1 southbound. This is causing about a 20-minute delay between the Pretorius Interchange and Rivonia Road. As a result, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on Witkoppen Road between Maxwell Drive and Rivonia Road. Parktown heading towards Boysons. Bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M1 southbound between Killarney Bends and the Crown Interchange.
In US sport, India hand the Proteas a brutal dose of reality in their T20 World Cup warm-up. Kaizer Chiefs licking their wounds following Nedbank Cup exit. And Mark Gay ineligible to play for Manchester City in Carabao Cup final.
I'll look at your weather. Partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. Tomorrow, Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 17 degrees and peak at highs of 31. Pretoria is also at lows of 17 and 33. Vereeniging's at 17 degrees as well, reaching highs of 29 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling for patience from the public as government works to implement the recommendations of an interim report from the Matlanga Commission.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit EWN.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
On 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive with me, John Perlman, and the team. It's 9 minutes past 4, and it's great to have you with us on this Thursday. Hope you're having a decent enough week. Hope you've got a great weekend to look forward to. A lot of you are responding to the conversation we had with Dr. Piet van Aert from the University of the Free State. Very, very interesting work they're doing, looking at the role of AI and its impact on students and the way they go about looking at the questions that they've been set. Very interesting stuff indeed. Please go to the website, theconversation.com, and have a full read of what he's setting up. As I said, we're getting some very interesting comments from many of you. I'll share a couple of those with you, and I believe we've got a couple of your WhatsApp voice notes as well. People who actually work with students expressing their views and sharing some thoughts. Dudu sends this, for example, and says, AI for students. I've also found that young people entering the workplace as interns have impressive CVs, but practically don't understand the basics of what they would have studied. Alarming indeed. And when I did introduce the topic, I said we're looking at students partly because we're looking at universities, but we're also looking at the implications of the way they learn for their contribution in the future to the world of work when they enter it. So there's a lot to talk about. Please do keep your comments coming. Nikki sends me this. As an ex-lecturer, it's partly about laziness and not just fear of failure, but also the lack of the ability to apply knowledge or be creative. Sadly, to get them to talk and ask questions is also problematic. So we've got a lot to get our heads around. One of the things we've got to get our heads around on a different note is the state of the water system in Johannesburg. The publication Daily Maverick has been doing a lot of digging. Piece put out, written by Yvonne Grimbeek, sets out how dire things are out on the west side of Joburg. That area's always had difficulties. Hurst Hill, I think, is where a lot of the facilities are based, but Westdean, Melville, Brixton, Coronationville, Westbury, Sophiatown always seem to be in the news, both for electricity and water. But Ferrell mainly to talk, solely to talk about water, and she's with us in just a moment. And then also problems of water, perhaps of a different nature, but also related. 3 provinces, Eastern, Western, and Northern Cape, declared national disaster areas in regard to the drought in those provinces. One of the implications, of course, of being declared a national disaster area is that water can be cut off, throttled. And if you think about the key agricultural outputs, particularly in the Eastern and Western Cape, the implications of this are quite grave, way beyond just the people who live there, but also, once again, we come back to it, issues of food security in the country. Dr. Elias Sithole from the National Disaster Management Centre will be our guest at about 22 minutes past 4. It's 12 minutes past 4 now.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. And hi, 702 fam. So my lucky charm is not a charm, it's a number. And it's 13. Every time I buy a Man United football shirt, I put 13 on. Yes, we're playing badly, but we are doing quite well. So thank you. Dave from Pretorius.
Hi, Dr. John. It's Anonymous from Midrand. Regarding the water issue, it's become honestly ridiculous. In December last year, we also went days without water, and now again. And it just seems to be ongoing. And it's so annoying because parts of the Midrand area have had their water supply back for the past 2 days. And then in the area of Midrand where I am, it's been on and off. So it comes on in the very late afternoon, but by the time we wake up in the morning, there's no water again. So this water situation has honestly just become so ridiculous. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, John and 702 listeners. I don't think you will ever get people to stop using AI, especially students. But the real test comes when they are sitting down and writing their tests and their exams, because they won't know the work if they haven't gone and researched it for themselves. So that's when the real test comes, and that is what will establish whether they pass or whether they don't. So only a student that is really dedicated to learning the work will turn left on Selkirk Avenue. Will do what they need to. So I think that's where the real test will come. Thanks. Great show.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. And I thought I'd use a little bit of AI myself on that voice note of always buying a Manchester United shirt wearing number 13. Do you know that for many, many years, no Manchester United players actually wanted to wear number 13? Park Ji-sung wore it from 2005 to 2012. But here's the thing about your improvement in your team's fortunes. The player who took over the number 13 shirt, Patrick Dorgu, who scored that fabulous second goal for United. I'm being objective here, describing it. It's not about talking about the way it made me feel, but a glorious second goal against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. And not many players wore 13. Okay, let's find out what's happening out on the roads. It's 4:15. After that, Joburg water woes. But first, the traffic.
EWN Traffic.
EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Chali.
Well, at this stage, John, if you are traveling towards Rivonia, leaving the Woodmead area, there's that accident scene on the N1 southbound, still causing about a 20-minute delay between the Punctuality interchange and Rivonia Road. As a result, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on Witkoppen Road. That's the alternative route between Maxwell Drive and Rivonia Road. Midrand, stationary vehicle N1 northbound before New Road, causing heavy delays from the Punctuality interchange, while in Sandton, if you're heading towards Midrand M1 northbound, there's traffic pressure from Athol Oaklands all the way to the Punctuality interchange, and in Kempton Park, heading towards Boysons, driving through the Joburg CBD, traffic heavily backed up. M1 southbound between Killarney Benz and the Crown interchange. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, we focused a great deal on the water crisis in Midrand, but there are problems, it would seem, all over the city, and there are indications that this may well get worse. Joining us to talk about this is Ferrial Hafaji, Associate Editor of Daily Maverick. Ferrial and others on the Daily Maverick team have been looking very, very closely at Joburg's water crisis and its roots. We know generically what all the problems are. Lack of funding, lack of effective maintenance, lack of using funding properly, and quite extraordinarily, as I read to you a little bit earlier from Yvonne Grimbeek's piece today, no available spares to fix a pump in Brixton. Ferrial, I don't really know where to start because there are so many things. You've sent us a timeline of around 90 days in which one thing is broken after another. But, I mean, is this more of the same and all the old problems as I itemized, or are we entering into a different phase where perhaps we may not be going over a cliff, but we're certainly taking a bit of a plunge?
Good afternoon, John, and it's good to chat to you. If you look at the period from December to early February where we're sitting now, I do think that it's a multiplicity of everything that you've been talking about, all happening at the same time and right at midsummer. So I sent you some graphics which show that there are 10 worst affected areas everywhere from Midrand to Diepsloot, Soweto, Orange Farm, experiencing very different crises. Some of them are maintenance related, and those are the good ones. Most of them are related to not being able to pay for spares, to problems with Rand water facilities, pumping stations, etc. So it's some of the same, but it's all happening at the same time. I mean, I'm hesitant to say we're headed over a cliff, but it's probably one of the worst infrastructure day zeros that I've seen.
I mean, let's talk about something that ought to be solvable, because I find that when you talk about the deeper and long-term problems, we get a catalogue of the backlogs and so on. But I'll read again for people who may not have heard it. This from Yvonne's piece. At the Brixton Reservoir and Tower Complex, one of the most fragile in the city's water system, a pump broke down last week, but Joburg Water did not have spare parts on hand to fix it. Now, why don't they have spare parts? Is it because there was money for spare parts and it wasn't spent? Is it because it was never budgeted for? And I don't necessarily expect you to know the answers to these things, but this is admin 101, isn't it?
It is admin 101, and it's a story we know well. So because Joburg Water and also City Power don't pay their debts on time, they don't get lines of credit anymore. So how it would work is that your depot would go to suppliers and say, this is what we need, and usually you'd have a line of credit, and then you get your parts and you fix them. But because they haven't been paid, these companies want to be paid in cash, and obviously that's not available, and you can see how that would trigger a domino effect and be one of the reasons that you see so many outages happening at the same time.
Is there nothing in the city where somebody is able to say, look, we know there's this situation and that situation, but if we do not fix the pump at Brixton, and I want to talk a bit more about Brixton with you in a moment, because, as I understand it, that's just had a massive upgrade. And when I say just, we're talking in the last 2 years. Surely somebody must be able to pull an alarm, a bell that's connected to an alarm, and say, hey, listen, we need special arrangements here, because the opportunity, but crucially financial cost of not dealing with this right now is going to be monumental, and it has been.
It's broken telephones, sadly, because of how budgets are structured. Johannesburg Water it's supposed to have its own ring-fence budgets and be able to make these purchasing and other decisions that are so important, but that hasn't happened properly yet. So it's happened at a policy level. There's agreement in the council. There's agreement in the executive council, but it hasn't yet happened on the ground, and so you still see these things happening. On top of that, I don't know if you've been reading the politics of the Johannesburg Council, but it's completely deurmekaar with motions of no confidence, a new deputy mayor, so you can see how the politics impacts what comes out of your tap, or in this case, what doesn't come out of your tap.
It does seem to me, Ferriel, and this is a thread and theme in government from the many years I've been doing this, is they are able to move extremely quickly and decisively on matters of self-interest. But somehow when there is a matter of urgent metro, provincial, national interest, suddenly we get told process, procedure, regulations, rules. We can't just do whatever we like. Well, that would be nice if it were true.
So it's really interesting because we have such a recent example. When the G20 was coming, you had the Premier actually making a public promise that there would be no electricity or water cuts around the key venues. The key venues would have been Nasrec and also Sandton and some of the other nodes where the delegates were going to stay. And he could make that promise and keep it. So it shows you that when there is political will, this can be done. But this is a major, this is a major and a citywide crisis now, and it's been ongoing for years, but at moments like these when it affects 10 really big areas and most of your water systems, then you don't get similar attention to detail that you saw during the G20. We certainly saw what could be done. I'm surprised that this is not being treated like more of the emergency it is.
Thank you very much, Ferriel Haffajee. 24 minutes past 4. Well, let's talk about something that is being treated as an emergency. The 3 provinces, all with Cape in the name, Western, Eastern and Northern Cape, have those provinces. In those provinces, let me say, their droughts are now declared as a national disaster. What does that actually mean, and what are the implications for that? Dr. Elias Bongani Sithole is head of the National Disaster Management Centre, and he joins us now on 702 Drive. Dr. Sithole, welcome and thanks very much for your time. In terms of what can be done to alleviate the water shortage, what powers does a declaration of national disaster give government that it may not have had before? Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to the listeners as well. Yes, The classification for a drought as a national disaster, it gives powers to municipalities, it gives powers to provinces and also national departments in terms of the reprioritization of the funds in those departments. But also on our side, it allows us an opportunity to coordinate this thing at national level and also work with the national treasury.
In terms of powers to cut off or throttle or constrain in some way use of water and its distribution, Dr. Sithole, I mean, how are you going to prioritize these things? Because when water's running down, obviously you've got to bear in mind its essential nature for ordinary citizens. At the same time, there's the balancing act of saying, well, it's a vital stage for a particular crop, for example. Food security plus foreign exchange revenue and jobs and so on all come into play. What is your top priority to make sure that people are able to drink water? I mean, is that priority number one?
Yeah, no, you're correct. It's a very difficult balancing act because at the end of the day, you want to save lives.
Yes.
You don't want to have a situation where people they don't have drinking safe water. But also, on the other hand, you want to make sure that we have an issue, we cover the issue of food security as well. Because at the end of the day, if people that doesn't have food on that table, then at the end of the day, then there's a problem. So it's a very difficult balancing act. But our priority is to make sure that people, they do have safe drinking water. Of course, making sure that we don't collapse the agricultural sector. Indirectly, also making sure that we protect the issue of food security as well. So this classification is going to trend in a very thin line in terms of the balancing act, but making sure that we are able to cover all the areas.
And just finally, Dr. Sithole, I mean, I'm probably being a bit simplistic here, but one of the huge problems is how much water we lose. And we're told that, there's no money to fix things. There's a counter argument that says there is money, particularly if we'd be able to do all this if we didn't waste so much. But be that as it may, if we get a shrinking of economies in these areas because of the constraining of water, the amount of money in the fiscus to deal with leaks and upgrade the maintenance program is also going to be constrained. Who's going to make the final calls? Do provinces make the call? Do you at the Disaster Management Centre have the final say? Or does Treasury and National Departments step in as well?
Yes, National Treasury will also step in as well. But we also want to make sure that the municipalities, they do those maintenance so that we don't have the water leaks, because we can talk about the water scarcity, but if at the end of the day we have got massive water leaks at the municipality level, then it defeats the purpose.
Thank you so much, Dr. Elias Sithole, head of the National Disaster Management Centre. If you live in those provinces, have business interests there, or perhaps family or friends, drop us a note and tell us. National disaster declared, Eastern, Western and Northern Cape, 29 minutes past 4.
EWN Business.
Stephen Critters, very good afternoon to you. Well, yeah.
John, yes.
Platinum falling like lead.
Yeah, very good. Yes, indeed, John. Good afternoon. And the problem with platinum is, unlike gold, it doesn't bounce. So, yes, platinum, going down to its lowest in quite some time. That's really driving our market today. Gold also down. The pendulum basically swinging the other way. And as a result, the JSE All Share down 2.23%, 118,114 points. Was 125,000 just a couple of weeks ago. Financials down 0.08. Industrials down 0.33%. Resources down, wait for it, 6.18%. And it's what you would expect. So Northam is down nearly 10%. Implat's down 9.5%. Sibanye down 9.25%. Gold price, some of the gold miners down too. Harmony down 7%. Pan-African Resources and Anglo Gold both down by over half. South 32 down and Anglo down by around 5% as well. Not helped by the fact that ASP Isotopes, also a miner but in a different field, they're down 11.6% in rand terms today. Richmond up 2.5%. Attack, the property group, up 2.3%. Some of the other property groups also up nicely, actually. Light Properties is up 1.51 as well on the day. Growth Point also up 1.17 and Old Mutual up 1%. Quite a bit of corporate news today, John. ArcelorMittal, they were able to reduce their losses by 63% to a headline loss of nearly 3.5 billion rand for 2025. That's after it shut its long steel business last year. 2 weeks ago, the CEO of the IDC, the Industrial Development Corporation, told the Money Show she was very confident there'll be an announcement about a deal with them and ArcelorMittal soon. We're still waiting. The group saying today they're still in discussions with the IDC. Sasol saying they expect their earnings per share to be down by around 90% for the 6 months to the end of last year. Weaker oil prices, weaker chemical prices as well. Boxer saying their turnover for 48 weeks to the start of February up by 11.9%. Like-for-like sales up by 3.9%. John, their selling price inflation for Boxer was negative 1%. For that period. So prices went down by 1%. Some of that must have been food. There's no way all of that is because of manufactured goods. And Kumba Iron Ore saying their production was up by 10% in the fourth quarter of last year. They were also able to transport 2% more ore to Saldanha. That's the story around Transnet. So as I say, quite a lot of corporate news today, but the main index story, of course, is about mining. In the US, everyone expecting a slightly downbeat Wall Street open. So Alphabet, the owner of Google, they've been talking about spending plans, the AI sector having to spend a huge amount of money. Investors concerned about that. Qualcomm, they provide a lot of the connections. They had a downbeat forecast as well. The gold price now, $4,838.84 an ounce. Platinum, just $2,032.30. Brent crude, $67.66. The rand to the dollar, 16.16. To the euro, 19.09. To the British pound, 21.93. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business.
Thanks, Stephen. 28 minutes to 5 o'clock. Marky Mulapo joins us now with the latest news.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. We begin in the courts where former acting National Police Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane suffered another legal blow after the Labour Appeal Court dismissed his bid to get his job back. Phahlane was fired from the South African Police Service in 2020 following a 3-year suspension linked to allegations of corruption and misconduct. An internal investigation found him guilty of deliberately or negligently failing to implement a 46 million rand contract for the procurement of a 360-degree panoramic cameras. The matter ultimately resulted in his arrest and left the police service with more than 24 million rand in fruitless and wasteful expenditure. Alpha Ramushana has more.
Former acting National Police Commissioner Khomotso Phahlane referred his unfair dismissal dispute to the Safety and Security Sectoral Bargaining Council following his dismissal from the police service in mid-2020. However, the council ruled that his dismissal was fair. Phahlane then approached the Johannesburg Labour Court to review and set aside the ruling, but his application was unsuccessful. He subsequently escalated the matter to the Labour Appeal Court, which today also dismissed his bid for reinstatement. In its judgment, the court found no evidence of any reviewable irregularity by the arbitrator in upholding Phahlane's dismissal. Alpha Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
Staying in the courts, the Pretoria Magistrates Court has heard that the release on bail of 2 VIP bodyguards accused of killing an SA Air Force member would pose a serious threat to the state's sole witness. Tabang Sohole and Michael Makampe, who were assigned to Madibeng Mayor Douglas Maimane, are accused of shooting and killing Sergeant Michael Swanton. The incident occurred on the R80 road near Mabopane in January. At the time of the shooting, Swanton was travelling with his wife. She is the state's sole witness. Dimakazo Leshoro has the details.
According to the investigating officer, Sergeant Lesecha Mapia, the couple was stopped by the accused who were flashing blue lights. They were then questioned about why they did not give way. The situation quickly escalated, with the 2 bodyguards shouting and exposing their firearms, including a rifle. Mapia says the deceased asked for the officer's identification and believed they were going to retrieve it from the vehicle, but instead her husband was shot. She reportedly heard a single gunshot and saw the bodyguard's vehicle driving away from the scene with the mayor in the car. The court heard that the woman now fears for her life and has alluded to moving house. The state prosecutor advocate Chris Marumo argues that if anything were to happen to her, it will spell the end of the case. He added that she should be protected at all costs, including keeping the accused behind bars. Dimakatso Leshoro, Eyewitness News, Pretoria Magistrates Court.
And the UN Human Rights Agency says it's in survival mode and currently delivering under strain due to funding shortfalls. Agency Chief Volker Turk launched a $400 million appeal today to tackle global rights crises this year. Addressing diplomats at the UN Rights Office headquarters in Geneva, Turk warned countries that at a time when global human rights are under significant assault, his office is facing dire financial shortages, hampering its increasingly important and life-saving work. Last year, the UN Human Rights Office's regular budget set by the UN General Assembly of Member States was $246 million, but it ultimately received only $191.5 million of that money. It also sought $500 million in voluntary contributions, of which $257.8 million came in. The Human Rights Office lost around 300 out of 2,000 staff last year and had to end or scale back its work in 17 countries. A look at your weather. A partly cloudy Friday in store for Gauteng. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows of 17 degrees across the province and peak at highs between 29 and 33 degrees.
Woodmead heading towards Rivonia. We're still dealing with that accident scene N1 South and it's causing about a 20-minute delay between the Patloo interchange and Rivonia Road. As a result, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic on Witkoppen Road between Maxwell Drive and Rivonia Road. In Sandton, traveling towards Midrand, expect about a 20-minute delay. M1 northbound between Athol Oaklands and the Patloo interchange.
The top story in Eyewitness News, former acting National Police Commissioner Khomuso Phahlane suffered another legal blow after the Labour Appeal Court dismissed his bid to get his job back.
Bongani Bingwa, 702 Breakfast.
Weekday mornings, 6 to 9.
The multinational fraud scheme that has shocked the nation. That plush officers in Johannesburg suburbia, the con center agents.
They ran the scam call center almost like a proper business. They had the enablers, they had the accountants, they had the lawyers, they had the bankers. They set up everything properly. And it's because of their English-speaking ability that they were able to target these foreign countries, and because of the sophistication of the syndicate, that if you were sitting in Auckland, New Zealand, the phone number that was phoning you actually showed up as Auckland, New Zealand.
It's an extraordinary story. Chad Thomas.
Bongani Bingwa, 6 to 9.
On 702.
Get your brain in the game, because the brain of 702 is back with your chance to flex your general knowledge smarts. There's 3,000 Rand up for grabs every day, and Brain of the Week wins 10,000 Rand, plus a spot in the finals to compete for the grand prize, 30,000 Rand cash. Enter on primemediaplus.com now. Then catch 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa and 702 Drive with me, John Perlman, for your chance to be the brain of 702. T's, C's and more on primemediaplus.com.
Zandi Finga's Hive promo agency was growing fast, but the paperwork was catching up. What were you up against?
Challenges that were slowing down my growth was finding clients as well as organizing the promoter application.
But with Yep for online visibility and Zoho to manage her database, she has turned chaos into a well-honeyed hive.
Get Yep by Telkom Business from 249 Rand per month and Zoho from only 1,260 Rand annually. Call 10213 or check telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Do you suffer from heartburn and hyperacidity? To relieve heartburn for the whole day and night with one tablet, a potent once-a-day treatment which was previously prescription only is now available over the counter. Ask your pharmacist for an over-the-counter, long-lasting heartburn treatment. Brought to you by Sandoz.
Driver on the road or driver on the golfing green? Auto & General covers the world's best drivers. Auto & General, the official regional insurance partner of Live Golf South Africa 2026, and 702 are putting your driver knowledge to the test. For your chance to win a share of 100,000 Rand. Up to the challenge? WhatsApp 072 702 1702 with the keyword Auto and General and follow the prompts. Every day this week, 702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa could call you back to play. Thanks to Auto and General on 702. TCs and more on primemediaplus.com. Auto and General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. With regards to your AI discussion, I do agree that AI is part of our lives and we need to figure out how we're going to use that together. For me, with my kids in school, what we have decided was that, for instance, if they have to do a speech, my kids have to write their own speech in their own language with all of their own ideas, and then only are they allowed to put it through AI just to help them refine, especially if it's not their first language. They can then use the AI system to maybe help them think of better words or phrase sentences better. But at the end of the day, it is their ideas first that they put down on paper before they put it through AI. So that might be a resolve in terms of how do we use AI to our benefit, but not let AI do the thinking for us, but have AI help us in terms of just refining our thinking.
Yeah, what a brilliant and straightforward suggestion. And when I say straightforward, I mean that as a compliment, not suggesting that it's simplistic in any way, or shape or form. But I think it's excellent. In other words, accepting that AI is there, using and harnessing its power, but saying point of departure, give me your stuff first. Let me hear what you have to say. I think that's excellent. Anyone else with suggestions from the perspective of parents or teachers or family members that you're helping with schoolwork and ways in which you guys are trying to deal with this? I think that would be very, very instructive indeed. 072 702 1702 and 011 883 0702. It's 18 minutes now to 5.
EWN Sport.
Tola Kela, very good afternoon to you. What's happening out on the playing fields?
Well, John Pretorius T20 consultant Albie Morkel has lauded Lungengidi for his performance in their 30-run defeat to India in their final World Cup warm-up game. Morkel believes that Ngidi possesses a skill set that will come in handy during the tournament. That's after he finished with an economy rate of 7 runs per over, while other bowlers conceded at least 9.
I mean, after his first over, he came back beautifully. And that's probably going to be his role in the team. He's one of the seamers that possesses a really good slower ball. And yeah, he'll be obviously looking to use that a lot more through the tournament.
India captain Surya Yadav says they'll travel to Colombo as planned for their T20 World Cup clash against Pakistan, despite their opponent's decision to boycott the match, citing geopolitical tensions. The Pakistan government directed its team to boycott the February 15 Group A contest to show solidarity with Bangladesh, who were replaced by Scotland following their refusal to tour India over safety concerns. Switching over to football, where Miguel Cardoso has called on Mamelodi Sundowns' fans to trust the process. That's after their 2-1 win over Gomora United in the Nedbank Cup round of 32. Progression in this competition keeps them on course to win the trophy for the first time since 2022, but it's the Betway Premiership and CAF Champions League where the Brazilians are under pressure to perform, as they've fallen behind Orlando Pirates in the league, while they next face St. Elo Lupopo on the continent.
People need to trust. And mostly, as you might imagine, I'm saying that our opponents became stronger. It's clear that our opponents became stronger. There's nothing missing. What's missing is trust. If people trust, things will happen normally. Because there's a lot of quality in the squad. There's a lot of quality in the coaching staff. There's a lot of quality in the coach. Because I don't see around any coach with the curriculum that I have. It's what it is. We will not win every day, but believe what is important in this club is not if we fall, is the attitude you show to rise.
The Six Nations kicks off this evening as Ireland travel to Paris for a clash with defending champions France. Irish head coach Andy Farrell has sprung a surprise by naming Jacob Stockdale in starting 15, with the wing set to appear in the competition for the first time since 2021.
He's back to being himself this year, that's for sure. I think if you speak to him, he'll be delighted that he's just simplified things and got down to what he's good at, and that's beating people, and we've seen that of plenty, certainly this season.
And former New Zealand and Tonga scrum half Augustine Pelou has returned to Super Rugby after signing for Moana Pacifica. The two-test All Black returns to the Southern Hemisphere competition, having spent the last 6 years in Japan playing for Hino Red Dolphins. Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
7:02 drive time to look at what's happening out on the roads. It's 16 minutes to 5. EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS out to 45142 now. You could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, how are we looking?
John, while we're still dealing with that accident scene in the Woodmead area, this is on the N1 southbound. And it's causing about a 20-minute delay between the Pretorius interchange and Rivonia Road. As a result, there's also bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on Witkoppen Road between Maxwell Drive and Rivonia Road. In Midrand, there's a stationary vehicle on the N1 northbound before New Road, causing heavy delays all the way from the Pretorius interchange. Sandton also expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands to the Pretorius interchange. Parktown driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boysons. Traffic heavily backed up on the M1 South between Killarney Benz and the Crown Interchange, and in Boksburg heading towards Brakpan. Slow moving traffic on the N17 eastbound. This is between Rondebold and Rangeview Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a couple stealing glances at each other. In a week, their lives will change forever as they exchange their I-do's. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a love story on the move. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance, a licensed insurer and FSP.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
7:02 drive. Okay, coming up soon, we're going to do another round of the Brain of 702. Two excellent contestants as we head towards Friday's big showdown. Of course, whoever finishes up as Brain of the Week on Friday goes into the finals, which will happen later in February. Really enjoying Brain this year. I hope you're enjoying it as well. And if you're enjoying it enough to think that, hey, I could do this, why not get in touch? I'll give you the details on how you do that a little bit later. Now, looking online, and Kabazela sent me this. As you know, he's a great scrutinizer and trawler of social media of various kinds. What's Gone Viral is a fabulous part of Bongani's show in the morning, so be sure not to miss that when you're listening to Bongani from 6 to 9. This is somebody called ex-mayor of Cape Town. Durban, I beg your pardon. I don't think they were the ex-mayor, because the X is just the letter X. Is also calls himself at Lucky Gordy. Gordy, I assume, is a male, but what you can't assume anything on X. But what I do know is this is a very interesting post. And Gordy says this: has being punctual died? I'm at a meeting with 100 people and we still have people walking in 50 minutes after it started. My mother taught me if you're on time, you're actually late. Being late is pure disrespect towards the other person. The question that I'm interested in, Tolakele, is, has punctuality got worse, or is it bad and it's always been bad?
I think it's definitely gotten worse because people always feel the need to kind of say, oh, I was stuck in traffic, I was doing this. But if you properly plan out your routes, there's no way. And also if you give yourself at least like a 30-minute window, there's no way you'll be late to something. Rather be early to a thing than be late to it.
So, Karabo Chale, I can't tell you I was stuck in traffic, because you'll just go onto your screen there and you'll say, what route did you follow? And then you'll say, no.
100%, 100%.
My friend, traffic lights working 100%. Do you find, because people know that you know the traffic and that you've got access to real-time information, do you find that people have stopped trying to fly that one past you?
You'll be surprised. They still use it. And I'll always just double check, and I'll roll my eyes and not mention it. I'll just let it go, because I guess we all have those excuses, and that's one of theirs. And if it works for them, I won't confront them. I won't make things awkward, Shem.
Are you ever late?
Yes, I get late sometime, but I make sure usually that I, like Tolagelo was saying, that 30-minute window break space, just to allow yourself to just be comfortable on the road and not rush. So yeah, I usually just make sure that I leave 30 minutes earlier.
So I'm really interested to know from you, 702 family. I mean, if you either in social arrangements, because maybe you've got a friend who's always late and make you all wait before you can order in a restaurant, maybe in the workplace there, as Lucky Gordy was saying, a whole meeting, some people are there, other people are not there. I mean, I think a meeting with 100 people, good luck to the person who organized it. But be that as it may, have you come up with ways to actually get people to be on time? I know some people who are late because they are disrespectful and they believe that their time is more important than mine and all the other people who are waiting. I think there are those people, and there you've got an attitude problem of a different kind. But I also do know some people who are otherwise really, really considerate, perfectly nice, genuinely want to sustain relationships and treat people properly, but they are just always late. So what have you come up with, either in your personal life or work life, to actually reel this in a bit and make sure that people who are late actually at least come a little bit earlier, even if they're a little bit less late? It's not straightforward, but I'm looking for good suggestions, hoping you've got one. 072 702 1702, 9 minutes to 5.
In the last 24 hours, this is what's happened in your world.
The DA is set to hold its federal congress in April, where new leaders will be elected to lead the party over the next 3 years. Next month, the party will open nominations for those interested in contesting its top position, and insiders suggest that Cape Town Mayor Jordan Hill-Lewis is likely to enter the race. Outgoing leader John Steenhuisen says his key achievement was leading the DA into government, but adds that the next leader's mission will be to make the party the largest in the country. Following his media briefing, Steenhuisen declined to answer questions from journalists, but insisted his decision to withdraw from the leadership race was entirely voluntary.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent.
Auto & General is the proud official tournament partner of Live Golf South Africa. This is not just a golf tournament. Auto & General, together with Live Golf, are bringing you the world's best musicians in a festival-style atmosphere that transforms sport into a full-scale music experience. Get an obligation-free quote from Auto & General, an award-winning insurer, and stand a chance to win your share of 100,000 Rand in cash or tickets to the Live Golf Music Extravaganza. Auto & General, never not there. Auto & General is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's and C's online.
Today's forecast is calm conditions inside your Mazda CX-5. It'll be warm, so likely your cabin chills before you even ask. Patches of scattered traffic, but with heads-up display and lane keep assist, you'll feel like you're alone on the road. Clouds this evening. Perfect for that Bose sound system. And later, skin tingles as you take that curve a little too beautifully. The feeling will find you in the Mazda CX-5. Wonder awaits.
The Johannesburg Philharmonic Orchestra presents its Valentine's Gala concert with music to melt your heart. Conducted by Daniel Boyko, the concert features award-winning pianist Charles Duplessis and showcases South Africa's ballroom champions. Saturday, 14th February at 7 p.m. at the Linda Auditorium. Tickets at Quicket.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On your next Money Show, we're joined by Busimo Voso, the CEO of Business Leadership South Africa, unpacking the Reform Trackers quarterly review. We'll dive into the numbers with Lasaka Technologies. Their CEO, Lincoln Mali, unpacks the group's interim results. In investment school, question on everyone's mind. How do you protect your money when inflation won't let go? And expert analysis on the day's biggest business stories.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by ABSA CIB, returning as proud investment theme sponsor of the African Mining Indaba 2026. ABSA is an authorized FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Water is a scarce resource. That dripping tap, that overwatered lawn, it all adds up. Johannesburg Water urges you to fix on-property leaks, reuse grey water and reduce unnecessary use. They're intensifying leak repairs and upgrading infrastructure to reduce losses. By working together and changing daily habits, water resources can be safeguarded and supply secured for future generations. Brought to you by Johannesburg Water, a water and sanitation utility that cares.
When the brightest brains collide in the biggest general knowledge quiz in Gauteng, it's time for the Brain of 702.
Yes, it's time to put your brilliance on display in the Brain of 702. Prove your mental might for your chance to win a share of 130,000 Rand in cash. And of course, there's the highly coveted title of the Brain of 702. You could win 1,500 Rand in this round, another 1,500 if you win tomorrow on Breakfast with Bongani Pingwa. The Brain of 702, your brain, our stage. Are you ready to step into the spotlight? As I said, the winner of this round gets 1,500 Rand and will be crowned the Brain of the Day and go on to play again tomorrow and possibly through the rest of the week, where on Friday afternoon, tomorrow, they stand to win 10,000 Rand as the weekly Brain of 702. Ultimately, you could go on to win a further 30,000 Rand should you be declared the Brain of 702. To be a part of the action, register on primemediaplus.com and we could call to put you through our qualifier. Two contestants, as always. Jeffrey Holzhausen is with us from Orchards, winner this morning with 7 points. Jeffrey, good afternoon and good luck.
Afternoon, John. Afternoon to you and the listeners.
Luyanda Pungula is your challenger today, joining us from out in the east of Gauteng in Benoni. Luyanda, welcome to you as well and good luck to you too.
Good afternoon, John, and thank you very much.
Okay, so the rules are 60 seconds to answer 15 questions. The contestant who gets the most answers correct is the winner. Equal scores, and we will play sudden death. The other thing, if I ask you to spell a word, do have a stab at it, because if you say pass, I will spell it. So you may as well give it a go. Jeffrey, you are the person in the driving seat. Your time, because you are, as I say, the incumbent, starts now.
3, 2, 1.
How many A's are there in the word adjacent?
2.
Correct. Complete the name of the SA20 team. What Super Kings?
Joburg.
Correct. True or false? 6 of South Africa's provinces are larger than Iceland.
True.
Correct. Spell the word dynamic.
DYAMANIC.
Incorrect. What is the largest land mammal in North America?
Polar bear.
Bison. Which Andrew Lloyd Webber show features Mephistopheles and Old Deuteronomy?
Cats.
Correct. True or false? Africa is the second largest continent in the world.
True.
Okay, I don't know if you got in the true in enough time. Let's just get the word from our judges and see how many points you secured there. Okay, Jeffrey, you managed to come up with 5 points. Not quite the number you put up this morning, but it is a competitive score. And Luyanda, your chance now to see what you can do. Luyanda Pungula, if you're ready, your time starts now.
3, 2, 1.
How many I's are there in the word animosity?
2.
Correct. Complete the name of the SA team. What Royals?
PAL Royals.
Correct. True or false? South Africa is slightly larger than the American state Alaska.
False.
Correct. Spell the word exactly.
EXACTLY.
Correct. Which is the largest land mammal in the Arctic region?
The polar bear.
Correct. Which Andrew Lloyd Webber show features a First Lady of Argentina?
Pass.
Evita, true or false? The Northern Cape is more than 20 times larger than Gauteng.
True.
Correct. Complete the saying. Put your what where your mouth is.
Put your brain where your mouth is.
Money. ASA is the governing. Okay. Right. It's going to be close. It's going to be close. Luyanda Pungula, you didn't manage to get in your last answer. It's close, but I can tell you, congratulations, Luyanda. You are our reigning brain and the brain of the day. Jeffrey, brave fight. Thank you. You did well this morning. Luyanda just edging you by a single point. But back to you, Luyanda. You've won 1,500 Rand thanks to 702. You will play again with Bongani Bingwa tomorrow morning. If you're still standing after that round, you will have a chance to be the brain of the day and continue the battle for brilliance. So, for a chance to prove your mental might, why not? And to win your share of 130,000 Rand, visit primemediaplus.com to register. You could become the brain of 702 and walk away with the ultimate general knowledge prize. It's 5 o'clock.
You're now listening to 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here. This is EWN.
No clear links found in 3 Madlanga inquiry-related hits, and Lily Mine families vow to remain at campsite until loved ones are retrieved. Good afternoon, I'm Maki Malapo. Gauteng police say they have not been able to find a link between 3 separate shootings of people involved in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. This morning, Boksburg resident Yandre Pretorius survived an attempted hit on his life after unknown gunmen fired 16 shots at his car. Pretorius was implicated in the testimony of the late witness D, Marius van der Merwe, linking him to the death and torture of a man in Brakpan, whose body was later dumped at a lake in Germiston. Tabiso Goba has more.
In November last year, a few weeks before testifying at the Madlanga Commission, controversial businessman Brown Mokgotsi survived an assassination attempt after his car was riddled with bullets near the N3 highway on the East Rand. A month after that, Marius van der Merwe, also known as Witness D at the Madlanga Commission, was shot and killed outside his home in Brakpan. Today, Yandre Pretorius, another person implicated in the Madlanga Commission, narrowly escaped death. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tomim Tsombeni says no links have been established yet between the 3 incidents.
But safe to say, in terms of the process relating to the witness protection, as the South African Police Service, where we are investigating the case, and it's clearly that there is a need for a witness to go through a witness protection, we will of course do the necessary, linking up with the NPA.
At this stage, no arrests have been made for the attempted murder on Pretorius. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News, Boksburg.
President Cyril Ramaphosa is calling for patience from the public as government works to implement the recommendations of an interim report from the Madlanga Commission. The president says the process will take a while as final report is only set to be released in March. Ramaphosa was speaking earlier today on the sidelines of an engagement with SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter in Pretoria. Jabli Lembata has more.
When the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry began in September last year, President Cyril Ramaphosa ordered for a report to be issued within 3 months. However, only an interim report has been released so far, with the final one expected to be out in March this year. This is while a parallel process is underway in Parliament by the ad hoc committee. Ramaphosa has acknowledged that there are strong calls for immediate action against those who have been implicated in the commission, especially against suspended Police Minister Senzo Mchunu. He told the media today that he accepts the recommendations of the commission in the interim report and is awaiting the final report for further guidance. Jabuli Lembata, Eyewitness News.
We move to the National Assembly where DAMP Diane Kohler-Barnard says not releasing classified information about a multi-million rand property purchased by crime intelligence would have made her a part of a cover-up. Barnard was giving evidence before Parliament's ad hoc committee investigating police corruption, where she faces intelligence leak allegations. But she says the information that she released about the 23 million rand purchase of a luxury hotel through an intelligence slush fund was already in the public domain. Babalo Ndenza has more.
Diane Kohler-Barnard concluded her evidence after taking questions from the evidence leaders and members of the committee about her handling of sensitive information. Kohler-Barnard says the allegations by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi stem from an erroneous understanding of her membership of the Joint Standing Committee on Intelligence, which deals with classified information. She added that she could not ignore reports that the slush fund was used to buy the Pretoria North property.
I cannot be part of a cover-up.
I will not be part of a cover-up. And simply ignoring what was in the public domain would have been exactly that.
Kohler-Barnard says she verified the information with various sources before she felt comfortable to issue her press statement about the property. Babalo Ndenza, Eyewitness News, Parliament.
In Mpumalanga, the families of the Lily Mine 3 that were buried alive in 2016 say they are prepared to camp at the site for another 10 years in a bid to pressure government to help retrieve the remains of their loved ones. Today marks a decade since the Lily Mine collapse near Barberton in Mpumalanga. Preeti Nkambule, Yvonne Mnisi and Solomon Nyirenda were trapped in a lamp room when a crown pillar gave in, dragging their container underground. Their families set up camp outside the mine in 2019, demanding justice. The family's spokesperson, Heri Mazibukwa, says abandoning the remains of their loved ones is not an option.
These are the structures whereby our mothers, our parents are sleeping. There are snakes here, there's a lot of hazard, there's no running water, there's no toilets and so forth. It's a wilderness, and our aim on the 30th of April 2019, we went inside the mine because there were illegal miners operating illegal at the mine. So we decided collective with some community members to join them, but us not looking for gold, looking for Yvonne, Preeti and Solomon.
And the first memorial service for acclaimed poet and cultural activist Diane Ferris is set to be held tonight. The Worcester native, best known for her iconic poem, I've Come to Take You Home, dedicated to Sarah Bartman, passed away last Friday at the age of 72. After being showcased in a museum in France for 192 years, Bartman's remains were returned to South Africa in 2002, accompanied by Ferris, whose poem played an instrumental role in the repatriation. Family spokesperson Laniel Hartzenberg says the family is still awaiting confirmation from the presidency on whether an official funeral will be granted. She adds that a state funeral should be an instinctive response from government given Ferris's legacy. Hartzenberg adds that all funeral arrangements must comply with Khoisan customs as advised by Queen Belinda Peterson.
We do have a date that they would like the funeral to be on, and that will be a custom thing that we would like it to continue. But the mere fact that we have not yet received any response from the President's office, it's a little bit hard sore.
Gold's trading at $4,855.73 an ounce. The rand's at 16.13 to the dollar, at 21.86 to the pound, at 19.04 to the euro. Brent crude oil's at $67.63 a barrel.
Driving through Alex heading towards Germiston, you can expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 southbound, and that's between Marlborough Drive and Van Buren. In Edenville, heading towards Bedford View, traffic heavily backed up. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Gilulis interchange, and in Boksburg, expect some delays on the N12 eastbound from Croft Road to Atlas Road.
In US sport, India hand the Pretorius a brutal dose of reality in their T20 World Cup warm-up. Kaizer Chiefs licking their wounds following Nedbank Cup exit. And Mark Gay ineligible to play for Manchester City in Carabao Cup final. Look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Joburg will drop to overnight lows of 17 degrees and peak at highs of 31. Pretoria is also at lows of 17 and highs of 33. Vereeniging's at 17 degrees as well, reaching highs of 29 degrees. The top story in Eyewitness News this hour. Gauteng police say they have not been able to find a link between 3 separate shootings of people involved in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
7:02.
Drive home with John Perlman.
John Perlman, 3 to 6 p.m.
on 92.7 and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
7:02 Drive, it's 9 minutes past 5, and it's good to have you with us on the show. Thanks for giving us your time today. We'd love to hear from you, of course, on the big issues of the day. Also, the question we were asking about, has lack of punctuality actually got worse? You can call us about that if you like, or drop us a note. I've got a couple from some people. Elmer says, I work for Gauteng Health. No meeting ever started on time. The more senior the attendees, the later they arrive. I mean, it's a very interesting thing there where people will, might say, well, we're very important and, we were busy. We had lots of meetings. Is there a grain of truth in that? Or is it just the wielding of status for personal convenience? Maybe you want to add a layer to that particular thread. This from Gerard says, hi guys, my wife is always late. I tell her we have to be somewhere at 10 when we actually need to be there at 12. How many times have you managed to pull that off, Gerard? I think possibly your wife might be wising up to maybe try a 1 hour gap or 30 minutes. 2 hours sounds ambitious. Coming up on the show in the next half an hour or so, we're going to talk to forensic specialist Stan Bezuidenhout. The question we want to explore with him is the idea of protecting witnesses or protecting people whose names may come up in proceedings like the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, particularly when there are indications, even if they're not specifically a witness, that people connected to the particular matter under discussion are under threat. Now, Yandre Pretorius was mentioned at the Madlanga Commission by Witness D. Witness D himself was assassinated. And today, Mr. Pretorius, there was an attempt on his life, 16 shots fired, as I understand it, as he was leaving his home somewhere out in Ekurhuleni. No details, obviously, being given of that for obvious reasons. But the question I want to explore is, what does effective protection of people like that actually look like? And for how long do you offer it? How is it sustainable? But we'll explore that in more detail, as I said. Stan Bezuidenhout, my guest, shortly. It's 11 minutes past 5.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Good afternoon, John. Flores here from the beautiful Western Cape. Let me tell you, John, I am 35 years happily married. My wife has never been on time for anything. And you know what I always do when we need to go out? I always change the time to 45 minutes. Then at least we will only be 15 minutes late. I always tell her, listen here, it starts 7, even though I know it starts 7:45, just so that we at least can be 10, 15 minutes late. Yeah. But nevertheless, I love her. Maybe I love her for that. Have a good job. Bye-bye.
I have a friend that's always late. And the only way that I've managed to better their late coming is to tell them if they need to be there at 9 o'clock, you'd say to them, be there at 8:30. So they'll aim for 8:30, be a half an hour late, and actually be on time.
Flores, I hope your wife isn't listening. And whoever left that other message, if your mate's listening, you might be in trouble. Yeah, there we go, Gerard or Gerard, whichever it is. 2 hours. I think it's a stretch. Flores, I think, has got it right. 45. They're on track. It's 12 minutes past 5.
EWN Traffic.
Well into rush hour now, and EWN Traffic is brought to you by Outsurance. SMS the word out to 45142 now, and you could save on car insurance. If you don't, ask them for 500 Rand. Karabo Charlie, a good afternoon to you. How are we looking on the roads?
Well, some good news in that Woodmead area. That accident seen on the N1 southbound before Rivonia Road has been cleared. Traffic is back to normal, but there's still some delays. That's just due to peak hour traffic between the Batlu Interchange and Winnie Mandela Drive, while in Midrand you can expect some delays. This is due to a stationary vehicle on the N1 northbound before New Road. This is causing delays from Allendale. In Sandton, also expect about a 20-minute delay heading towards Midrand. This is on the M1 northbound between Ethel Oaklands and the Batlu Interchange. Parktown traffic is heavily backed up. This is driving through the Joburg CBD heading towards Boyson's M1 South from Killarney Bends to the Crown Interchange. Also driving through Alex, expect about a 30-minute delay. N3 South from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren in Edenville, traffic heavily backed up. R24 westbound between Edenville Road and the Kilulis Interchange, while in Boksburg also expect some delays. This is on the N12 eastbound between Croft Road and Atlas Road, and finally still in Boksburg heading towards Brakpan. Traffic pressure N17 eastbound between Rondebold and Rangeview Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
February may be the month of love, but the job interview panel won't be feeling the love if you're late. Fortunately, the Outsurance pointsmen are here to ease the traffic congestion so you can get to the interview on time. With the Outsurance pointsmen on the roads for the past 20 years, we can all get where we need to be quickly and safely. With Outsurance, you really always get something out. In proud partnership with 702, show them some love online using hashtag #PointsmenLove. Licensed insurer and FSP.
Driving the conversation on 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Powered by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
Normally you guys are busy as ministers. You're moving from one meeting to the next. You're always on the road. Do you have opportunities where you just take the music in?
I really miss that opportunity.
Yeah.
You know, in the past, when I was still driving myself, driving alone, I could play. Unfortunately, I'm missing that opportunity.
Well, you can tell them when they drive you to play.
The problem, you need to read.
Yeah.
If you don't read, going to meetings, you mess up things. And if you don't read as a leader, you just go a wrong direction.
And you end up not knowing what you're talking about. IFP leader and Minister of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs, Velenkosini Shabisa.
Clement Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
If you're still thinking about one more trip before the calendar fills up, this is your sign. Fly Lift from Johannesburg to Durban from just 595 Rand. Complimentary snacks, drinks, and the kind of flexibility that makes travel feel easy. So whether it's a quick reset, a weekend away, or a last summer escape, catch a lift. Book now at lift.co.za. That's from 595 Rand. T's and C's apply.
Progress builds, it moves, and it has a partner. That partner is Anglo-American. Together, we're building progress where it matters most across South Africa, with 1.6 billion Rand unlocked for entrepreneurs through our Impact Finance Network and 25.9 billion Rand invested through our Kumba Iron Ore business into infrastructure development, healthcare, community upliftment, and more. These are just a few examples that show when collaboration is real, progress moves faster. As a proud sponsor of the Investing in African Mining Indaba, we are working with our partners to unlock mining's full potential. South Africa has a partner, Anglo-American, mining potential, building beyond.
Meet Tato Magate, CMO of Koitech, proving that South African tech can take on the world. Tato, why was Telkom Business the right call for your team?
Bottom line was connectivity and ensuring that we have the right service provider.
With Telkom Business Fiber, Koitech seamlessly connects local innovations with international manufacturing.
Get Stream Connect Fiber from just 399 Rand per month. Call 10213 or click telkom.co.za. T's and C's apply. Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman on 702.
Let's walk the talk.
702 Drive, let's focus our attention now on a very, very important issue and a very worrying one, I think it's fair to say. The fact that there was an attempt on the life of somebody who had been named in the course of the Madlanga Commission, Witness D, who was himself killed in an assassination attempt, had named the person who was actually shot at today. And the question that is coming up now, and it was raised by President Cyril Ramaphosa, is, how exactly do you give people greater protection? The president is saying that people like Yandre Pretorius, who was shot at today, 16 shots fired, but he managed to escape unharmed. the president is saying they need to be given greater protection. I would have thought it is not all that easy and simple to do. Stan Bezuidenhout is a forensic specialist, and he joins us now on 702 Drive. Mr. Bezuidenhout, welcome, and thanks very much for giving us your time today. I suppose the best way to protect people is to really speed up your efforts to arrest and prosecute and put away the people who would like to kill them. But given that that does take time and doesn't always work out as planned, I would have thought one of the hardest things about working out a witness protection schedule and plan is how long are you going to keep that going for? What's the best way to resolve that? Surely people who wish to kill somebody like this would know that maybe they just have to wait it out.
Yeah, good afternoon, John, and good afternoon to your listeners. I think the first thing we must realize is that in this case, Mr. Pretorius was not in fact protected. It's quite clear from the news reports that he was arriving home alone and that the attempt on his life was made at home. So I think the first thing we've got to say is there has to be a protection threshold. Unfortunately, with any kind of protection detail, or let's call it VIP protection, it actually has to be an autonomous operation. The actual protective team has to make decisions, make rapid decisions, and decide when threats escalate or change. When you are in an environment where it's a bureaucratic process, where certain departments, divisions have to give approvals, and there first has to be a certain level of threat, etc., then obviously the system will fail. So the question is not how can a person be protected better. The question is at what stage should they be identified as a party at risk. And I'd say in a commission as important as a Midrand commission, when somebody's name's been mentioned and implicated in the inner workings of a case of this import, it should have been immediately, there should have been a flag. But of course, they are the so-called sexy star witnesses that we need to focus on, and not necessarily those that are at actual risk. So that concerns me.
One of the things that sometimes comes up is that people say, look, I don't want this. I don't want to be protected. There's no way you can insert, and I'm not, by the way, saying that was the case with Mr. Pretorius, but that has arisen. I mean, there's nothing that you can do about that, is there?
Oh, absolutely. If somebody refuses protection, obviously it opens the door for a lot of risk. And most importantly, protection is something you provide to somebody, especially if they haven't appeared as a protected witness yet, or they haven't been identified as a protective witness. It's obviously impossible to tell them to submit to your protective efforts, and that's a problem. In this case, I have no knowledge as to whether he was protected or not. What worries me more is, contrary to what you've just reported, his address is actually public. His street and name has been mentioned.
Yes.
I've already studied his house, and it's very concerning that we have already one attempt on his life. Now that attempt and the public disclosure extends that risk to his family and even his neighbors, for that matter. I mean, if I really, really wanted to get to this man, I could hold his neighbors hostage until he arrives and climb
Yes.
over a wall into his premises. So these are the things that would concern me now.
One of the things that occurred to me, I mean, and I'd like your view on it, Mr. Bezuidenhout. I mean, as the Madlanga Commission unfolds, the darkness that appears to be quite widespread in the South African police service in terms of its connection to criminals. I mean, we've heard testimony on a number of occasions now of documents that have, for example, investigating officers' names and personal details being shared with people who stand charged with serious crimes. If you're offered protection from the police when the subject of the inquiry is the police, not every single police officer, but the police as an institution, I would imagine some people would feel a little ambiguous about that, ambivalent about it.
Absolutely. I mean, I would go as far as to say that the impression that we are getting is that the further up the chain it goes, the more dangerous the interactions become. And we've just had a soldier shot and killed in the Brits area, Brits precinct, involving people that were linked to a local law enforcement unit. And in this case, there seems to be on the one side a claim of road rage and on the other side a claim of abuse of power. But this is the concern we have. The higher up the so-called food chain you go, the higher the risk becomes. And when people are implicated at the level of this kind of commission, then the barriers to declaring somebody an at-risk witness should be much lower than in a common occurrence. I mean, I myself have done investigations where threats have been placed on my life, and I know exactly how that happens. And sometimes it's not even in court yet. It's in the early stages, but you have immediate response from criminal elements.
I want to get your sense, because obviously you've dealt with this at a number of different levels, Stan Bezuidenhout. I mean, I would have thought that one of the tricky parts is obviously, crucially, is the physical protection of people from assault or worse. But the other would be navigating, particularly if the person has children. But any arrangement other than that, they live completely on their own, will involve other people. Is that where some of the worst strain starts to manifest? That, it's not just your life that gets changed, but it's your life with other people and in turn their lives that has to accommodate a level of anxiety that would come, I would think, with having armed people around you.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I myself relocated from one city to another on account of threats on me and my family. This is what happened at the time. My concern wasn't for me. My first thought was, okay, I can act all tough and mean and cool. What if they actually do harm to one of my family members? And that's a soft spot. It's easy to manipulate even the toughest guy by simply putting a threat on his family. Since these perpetrators now know where he lives, and since the whole of everybody in the public now knows where he lives, the question is, where does he go? How is he accommodated? How is this whole protection dynamic even planned? Because before you can even start to protect this man, you've got to understand the actual risk profile, the risk dynamics, the minute there's been an attempt, the whole dynamic changes and the approach is completely different from when you think there could be a possible attack.
I want to go wider and ask you this. I mean, it's... As the process at the Madlanga Commission and the Parliamentary Ad Hoc Committee unfold, it's clear that the people who are being scrutinized for illegal activities have an enormous amount to lose. Now, I get that they haven't yet been convicted or prosecuted. Should there, though, not be some kind of counterintelligence operation, given that there are a lot of names out there, and presumably police have had an interest in them already? I'm talking now about the police officers who are not actually working for these cartel bosses and syndicate bosses. But could we get better at actually anticipating possible threats to witnesses other than preparing a line of defense to keep them from harm?
Yes, you've opened a very important door. That's the issue of intelligence, forward intelligence and advanced intelligence. One of the first things I would expect to see in any victim or any witness named in a commission at this level is to see that there's some kind of counter surveillance component put in place, cameras at the houses, etc., so that if there is any attempt, we have workable intelligence that we can act on. At the moment, we know that it's Toyota bits. We know no more. We don't know whether they came from the left, the right, the T-junction across. We don't know if they've been in the area for long. We don't know how long they waited. So there's so much that you can know from an intelligence perspective that can help with the resolution of this protection cycle, and more importantly, further evidence in the very commission that has now simply been missed because everybody sat back and said, well, nothing's happened yet. And the moment it does, now the president wants to say, what are we going to do? Why would we not have those systems in place in advance?
Thank you so much. Stan Bezuidenhout, drawing on both personal experience of facing this kind of threat, but also his extensive experience as a forensic investigator and an expert witness, his company that he founded, IBF Investigations. We thank him for his time. 28 minutes past 5.
EWN Business.
So, Stephen Curtis, a difficult day. Did it get any better in the last little bit that remained before the market closed?
Slightly better, John. I mean, if it were a sort of
flu patient. It's still very much in flu territory rather than just bad cold, I'm afraid to say.
Yes.
Platinum also really not strengthening very much. Gold maybe a little bit, but we are very tough day. I mean, once again, the word volatility, does it mean anything to you? Basically talking about what we're seeing with metals prices, big impact on gold and platinum, and that's having a huge impact on the JSE, which ended the day, the all share down 1.88% at 118,540 points. Financials kind of flat. Industrials down nearly 0.5%, and resources down nearly 5% on the day. Was a little worse earlier. And it's, as you would expect, the platinum miners particularly, because that was hit particularly hard. Northam down 9, Implats down 9, Sibanye down 7.3, Volterra down 5, Harmony Gold and Anglo both down by around 4.9, and Glencore down 4.67% on the day. So as you can see, not just gold and platinum. John, MTN down 5% on the day, and that's just, it wasn't down so much earlier, but certainly the closing auction, we saw that big move. Kumba up 2.5%. On the day, they had an update saying that their production was up 10% in the fourth quarter of last year. Full output up by 1%. That's for the full year. They were able to send more stuff to Saldanha. Their volumes there were up 2%. The property companies, interestingly, today, Attack up 2.4, Growth Point up 1.6, Fortress B up 1.25. So things just moving a little bit there. And then Life Healthcare up 1.5% on the day as well. ArcelorMittal cutting their headline losses by around 63%, but still losing 3.5 billion rand until the end of December. They did shut down their long steel business last year. Still no update on those negotiations or discussions with the Industrial Development Corporation. Waiting to see what happens there. Sasol saying they expect their earnings per share to be down by around 90% for the 6 months to the end of last year. Weaker oil prices, softer chemicals prices, that having an impact. And then Boxer. Their turnover for the 48 weeks to the start of February up by 11.9%. Like-for-like sales up 3.9%. They say their internal price inflation was negative 1% during the time. In the US, updates from Alphabet, the owners of Google, today about the amount of money they intend to spend on AI. And we're kind of entering that kind of AI nervousness territory once again in US markets. The Dow Jones down 1%, the Nasdaq down nearly 1.5%, the S&P 500 down 1.11%. The gold price, John, $4,856. 3-ounce platinum just $2,038.80. Brent crude $67.66, and the rand to the dollar 16.17, to the euro 19.10, call it, to the British pound 21.92. On the Money Show tonight, we'll have a quick look at SARS. The president was there earlier today. He was talking about the illicit economy. We expect a new commissioner soon. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about increasing levels of debt. We'll speak to the CEO at Lesaka Technologies. They've had quite a good quarter. They're getting more involved in the banking space. Busisiwe Mavuso will talk about reforms. I expect you can hear Eskom coming in a little while. And we will talk about dating apps. Dating apps. I dated up. Ended quite well, actually. Stephen Crotus, EWN Business. Stephen back with the Money Show between 6 and 8. Marky Mulapo with us right now with the very latest eyewitness news. Good afternoon.
Thanks, John. Good afternoon. President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for stronger protection for witnesses following an attempted hit on a man implicated in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry. Ramaphosa was speaking on the sidelines of an engagement with SARS Commissioner Edward Kieswetter, saying witnesses in high-profile cases should not be identifiable and must be better secured. This comes after police recovered at least 16 bullets from the scene of a shooting in Boksburg, where the vehicle of Yandre Pretorius was fired at as he left his home. Pretorius is under investigation in connection with the 2022 murder of Emmanuel Mbense, a case before the Madlanga Commission. Gauteng Police Commissioner Tomi Mtombeni says a case of attempted murder has been opened.
And of course, in terms of investigating aids, we are looking into the issues of the CCTV cameras, of which we will explore in terms of the technology around this area.
Pretorius has since been moved to a safe location. Joburg Water says it has increased its efforts to restore water supply in Midrand and surrounding areas after pumping at its Grand Central Reservoir resumed this morning. Today, residents entered day 8 of intermittent water supply. The utility has attributed the woes to the city's damaged water infrastructure and leaks at its reservoirs. Jabli Limbata has more.
Yesterday, Joburg Water announced that water levels across the system would reach 40%. This morning, the Errand and President Park reservoirs were opened and they have since been supplying the network. Joburg Water says as the systems gradually recover, low-lying areas will receive water first, while high-lying areas will be the last. Jabuli Lambata, Eyewitness News.
Social grant activist Elizabeth Reuters is urging SASSA to tighten its grant review and payment processes. The Social Security Agency says 400,000 beneficiaries have already been notified to come forward for reviews. So far, 240,000 grants have been reviewed and at least 70,000 grants were suspended after beneficiaries failed to complete the process. Reuters says many beneficiaries are caught off guard due to poor communication. She says elderly grant recipients are often unaware that they're due for review and stand to lose their only source of income.
I feel last year they targeted the old people, and a lot of old people went for months without their SASSA grants. I also think SASSA can do better of actually letting a beneficiary know before payday that they're up for review.
And UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has today apologised to the victims of late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein for appointing disgraced Peter Mandelson as US Ambassador. Starmer's wide-ranging apology follows fresh allegations about Mandelson's cosy ties to Epstein, which emerged in newly released files last Friday. Starmer fired former UK Minister and EU Trade Commissioner Mandelson last September after only 7 months as ambassador in Washington following an earlier release of the files about Epstein. The former envoy was one of numerous prominent figures featured in last week's latest revelations of ties to the late US financier who died by suicide in jail in 2019, facing charges of alleged sex trafficking. Email exchanges between them showed a warm, intimate friendship, financial dealings, private photos, as well as evidence that Mandelson passed confidential and potentially market-sensitive information to Epstein nearly 2 decades ago. A look at your weather. Partly cloudy skies in store for Gauteng tomorrow. Temperatures will drop to overnight lows of 17 degrees across the province and peak at highs between 29 and 33 degrees.
Sandton heading towards Midrand, you can still expect about a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound from Ethel Oaklands to the Butlu interchange, while in Alex heading towards Germiston, there's about a 30-minute delay. This is on the N3 southbound from Marlborough Drive to Van Buren, and in Boksburg, expect some delays heading towards Brakpan, N17 eastbound between Rondebolt and Rangeview Road.
The top story in Eyewitness News. President Cyril Ramaphosa has called for stronger protection for witnesses following an attempted hit on a man implicated in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
I referenced a moment ago killings in Nigeria, and Eunice, you've got some thoughts on that.
Whatever is happening in Nigeria, clearly even a Nigerian government tells you it's criminal. Not long ago when Trump bombed Nigeria, he said there was a Christian genocide going on there. Why is it that he didn't give the same refugee status to black Christians from Nigeria? Or is it a case of if you're black, you're right at the back?
1,080 days until the 20th of January 2029, which will be the day he walks out of the White House, one way or another.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Stop and think. Will you survive the AI revolution or thrive? Regenesis students are thriving. 11 cutting-edge schools, 111 countries, world-class team of 1,111 with one mission, awakening your potential. Choose from law, business, technology, AI, health, economics, entrepreneurship, public management, skills academy, and digital Regenesis. Undergraduate, postgraduate, upskilling, customized corporate programs. The question isn't, can you afford to enroll? It's, can you afford not to? Enroll now. Regenesis.net. Achieve your dreams.
Different sounds,
different worlds.
Different artistic expressions, music, art, and fashion collide. Are you coming? Let's go to the place where the beat drops, the fashion pops, and the art rocks.
We're talking Focalistic, Dali Wonga, Mafiki Zolo, Kurt Darren, Matera Doughboy, Zoe Mudicha, Claire Johnston from Mango Groove, the Tswani Gospel Choir, and more. Mahindra Fusion Fest, Saturday 7th March, Sunbait Arena. Tickets on Ticketmaster now. See you there.
At Checkers, 2026 is better with over 1,500 deals. Like Clover Butter Full Cream Modified Butter Spread, 500 grams for $79.99, save 20 Rand. Nestle Mini Chocolate Fun Bags, any 2 for 89 Rand, save 45 Rand. And Finished Dishwasher Tablets, 45, 50 or 56 per pack for $229.99, save 55 Rand. Valid until Sunday at Checkers, Checkers Hyper, or shop on 6060.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hi, John. That's Kevin. So I work in the film industry, and my idea is that you've got to be 10 minutes early at all times, because if you miss a call time and you're late, that could be your job gone forever.
Yeah, I think that has a way of absolutely focusing your mind. Still to come on 702 Drive, we've got some music for you. But first, let's do the sport.
EWN Sport.
Tolakele, very good afternoon to you. Update us, please, on everything we need to know.
Thanks so much, John. And the Proteas are gearing up for their T20 World Cup opener against Canada on Monday. They wrapped up their preparations with a 30-run loss to India. But despite the results, consultant Albie Morgul has backed the batters to impress during the tournament.
But I think, we've got all the bases covered there. Good left-right combinations, guys who can hit the ball out of the ground. So, like I said earlier, it's just, keeping those guys in a good space. Most of them had good SA20s back home. Yes, different conditions. But it's actually more batting friendly. So, I'm looking forward to the tournament. It's going to be a good one.
New Zealand batters Rachin Ravindra and Devon Conway have been struck down with illness, but head coach Rob Walter is hopeful of a clean bill of health. That's before the World Cup gets underway. They'll sit out their warm-up match against the United States, while top order batter Finn Allen is rested as he recovers from a shoulder injury. Over to football, where Mamelodi Sundowns coach Miguel Cardoso has called on the supporters of the club and the public to show him respect as pressure continues to mount. Cardoso has been under scrutiny following the Brazilians' unconvincing performances across all competitions, but they are through to the Nedbank Cup last 16 following a 2-1 win over Gomora United. Added to that, someone took a video of Cardoso while he was at the PSL offices on Monday and captioned it to mock the way the coach had parked.
I don't think it's proper to joke with the car of the coach or the way coach got out of a press conference. And that is what is missing, is look at the coach and say, oh, respect, this guy didn't fall from the sky. This guy coached teams that no one ever imagined in South Africa. But just show some respect, and that's it. One day I will go. No one needs to push no one. Just need to take it calmly and let ourselves work.
For Cedric Kaze, he says it's CAF Confed Cup of bust for Kaizer Chiefs following their Nedbank Cup elimination. They became the first defending champions to exit at the round of 16 stage after a 2-1 loss to Stellenbosch. And on Sunday, they face Al Masry, knowing they must win to keep alive their knockout stage hopes.
We had the post like 2 or 3 times. It's an unlucky day, but even unlucky, it's a knockout game, and unfortunately we are out of the competition. But we have to look forward, because Sunday is coming very quickly with a massive game that we have in the Confederation Cup.
And defending champions France take on Ireland as the 2026 Six Nations kicks off when the two teams meet in Paris tonight. Andy Farrell's side go into the clash looking for a first away win over Les Bleus since 2018.
To us, all we control is the controllables. That's obvious to say, but it's absolutely true. We want to be as good a team as we can possibly be, and if we're pulling in the right direction and chasing that down to be the best team that we could possibly be, we need to prove to ourselves that we can be the best team also in the competition.
Tolagele Mganga, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
So the road's getting very busy now. They've been busy for a while, but fortunately Karabo Chali is also busy making sure you know exactly what's going on. Karabo.
Yes, true that, John. At this stage, things are not looking good at all. If you're driving towards Lenasia, Eldorado Park area, traffic is at a complete standstill. We just received a voice note letting us know what's happening there.
Hi Karabo, there's heavy traffic as you come off from the N1 South, joining the N12 to Protea Glen. Heavily backed up. It looks like there's an accident. Please look into that.
Yeah, most definitely. That's an accident scene on the N12 westbound before Klipspruit Valley. At this stage, I'm afraid you can expect more than an hour delay all the way from the N1 South Golden Highway off-ramp. As a result, those alternative routes, I'm afraid, are also backed up. That's the Golden Highway as well as the R554 Nirvana Drive. That's through Lenasia. So, yeah, avoid that route at all costs if you are not living there. Otherwise, allow for extra traveling time on your way home today. In Sandton, expect delays as well. About a 20-minute delay on the M1 northbound. That's heading towards Midrand between Ethel Oakland and the Patloo Interchange. Parktown traffic remains a bit sluggish. M1 south between Killarney Benz and the Crown Interchange. Driving through Alex heading towards Germiston. Slow-moving traffic. N3 southbound between Marlborough Drive and Van Buren in Edenvale. That's heading towards Bedford View. Expect some delays. R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Gilulis Interchange in Boksburg. Also heading towards Benoni. Expect some delays. N12 eastbound from Croft Road to Atlas Road and Boksburg Brakpan. Traffic pressure. N17 eastbound from Rondebult to Rangeview Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072 702 1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app. Stay with 702 Afternoon Drive with John Perlman. Brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
You're with John Perlman
on 702.
702 Drive, 16 minutes to 6 as we move towards the end of the show. Money Show, of course, coming your way between 6 and 8. We always like to send you home with some music with your help, because we come up with a theme and an idea and we set the tone, and then we hope that you come in with some suggestions of your own, either just a song suggestion, but if there's a little story behind the song you've chosen, we enjoy hearing that as well. I'll give you the number in a moment, but first let's tell you what we're going to be talking about. Kapazela back in the studio with us. Jono, I mean, what did you pick for today's musical theme? I think there are movies involved, from what I heard.
Yeah, there's John. So we're looking for songs that share titles with the movies. So with the movie title and the song title is exactly the same, is essentially, to put it as simple as I can. And there's quite a few, but I think the first one that we'll play off with, or kick off with, is a song called titled Breakfast at Tiffany's, obviously a movie, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and it's by a band called Deep Blue Something.
Deep Blue Something. Okay, and Breakfast at Tiffany's is an old movie, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I was just doing a little search here now, and I think it was, is it Paul Newman maybe in the movie? I'm just looking here in the trailer of the movie. But yeah, I mean, I think it's back in 1961 was the movie. So Deep Blue were not around in 1961, but clearly they've made a song about it.
Okay, let's take a listen. Deep Blue, Breakfast at Tiffany's. And while you're listening to it, please give us your thoughts. Just join the dots, as John has done, if there's something that has come to mind for you about a song and a movie that share the same title. And you don't even have to like the song or the movie. Particularly, maybe you liked one or not the other. But let's get going. Here's Deep Blue Something.
Say we've got nothing in common, no common ground to start from, and we're falling apart. You'll say the world has come between us, our lines have come
Deep Blue Summing, the song Breakfast at Tiffany's, which references the movie starring Audrey Hepburn, directed, by the way, by Blake Edwards. Even though it came out in 1961, Blake Edwards rings a kind of a bell for me because he did all the Pink Panther movies, if I'm not mistaken, a long career, quite a distinguished one. So, songs that have the same title as movies. Give us a call on that on 011 883 0702 and 072 702 1702. That's where you get us. It's 12 minutes to 6.
Say that we've got nothing in common.
The Midday Report.
Weekdays,
12 to 1.
It's a movie. You've got an attempted hit that has apparently taken place on one of the men that has been implicated in the testimony at the Midrand inquiry. So, what do we know?
There was an attempted hit on Mr. Yandre Pretorius. Mr. Yandre Pretorius was implicated in the testimony of the late witness D, who unfortunately was killed. And what Mr. Marius van der Merwe testified was that Mr. Yandre Pretorius was part of the people who were allegedly assaulting and torturing another person that he was with.
The Midday Report
with Mandy Wiener.
12 to 1 on 702.
702.
Let's hear from Dr. Armand, owner of Monument Dental, why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance.
It was one call and I was covered immediately. We are very happy with the premium we're paying. I wish I did it sooner.
For dentistries, general medical practices, and all other businesses, get a quote today and see why it pays to switch to Outsurance Business Insurance. Visit outsurance.co.za or call 08600 60,000 today. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Don't just like an opinion. Raise your opinion. Access real news and entertainment. Elevate your understanding of tariffs, trends, and tries. Don't fall for misinformation. Stand up for the truth. Step up dinner time and drive time. Know how to lead, parent, and save. Ready to raise your game? Subscribe to News 24. Get unlimited access to our trusted journalism.
Do you suffer from heartburn and hyperacidity? To relieve heartburn for the whole day and night with one tablet, a potent once-a-day treatment which was previously prescription only is now available over the counter. Ask your pharmacist for an over-the-counter, long-lasting heartburn treatment. Brought to you by Sandoz.
702 Drive with John Perlman was proudly brought to you by Telkom Business. Possible begins here.
702. WhatsApp John
on 072
702
1702.
Hey, Malume John. Garth here from Boxburg. Speaking of songs with titles and movies, the same ones, there's a song titled In the Heat of the Night. It was a 60s movie starring Sidney Poitier acting as a detective in the heat of the night. I think the artist was Ray Charles. A classic song, classic movie. Thank you.
Seems like a cold sweat creeping across my brow. Yeah, in the heat of the night, I'm feeling motherless somehow. Stars with evil eyes stare from the skies, all mean and bright.
Sidney Poitier and Rod Steiger. And for the musical version of In the Heat of the Night, well, there you go. The sound of Ray Charles. Fabulous voice. 7 minutes. And by all accounts, a great movie. I actually haven't seen it. If anyone knows, by the way, of a streaming service that got In the Heat of the Night, please do drop me a note. I would very, very much like to see it. I saw the trailer, said, got to watch that, and never got round to it. So some catching up to do. We asked you for songs and movies with the same title. Let's hear.
Hi, 702.
Today is the anniversary of my mom's passing, and a film we always used to watch together and listen together is Singing in the Rain. Just an incredible song, an incredible film.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again. I'm laughing at clouds so dark up above. And the sun's in my heart and I'm ready for love. Let the stormy clouds chase everyone from the place. Come on with the rain, I've a smile on my face. I'll walk down the lane.
Gene Kelly and Debbie Reynolds, all the way back from 1952, and I hope hearing that song brings up the very best memories as you remember wonderful time spent with your mom. Let's go to a very, very different one now. This, I think, would have been Bruce Springsteen's first Oscar movie with Tom Hanks, Streets of Philadelphia. Take a listen.
Bruised and battered, I couldn't tell what I felt. I was unrecognizable to myself. I saw my reflection in a window and didn't know my own face. Oh brother, are you gonna leave me wasting away on the streets of Philadelphia?
Yeah, the movie won an Oscar for Tom Hanks' portrayal of the character Andrew Beckett, a song about the impact of HIV/AIDS in the United States, and Bruce Springsteen's song for the soundtrack, Academy Award for Best Original Song. That was at the Oscars in 1994. Songs and movies, and the connection between the two through a name.
Hi, John. Another song that had the same name as the movie was Set It Off, from the movie that included in its cast Queen Latifah, I think Jada Pinkett. Yeah, the song was Set It Off.
Good afternoon, Tate John and Tim. A movie that has the same song as the title is Pretty Woman. Pretty Woman, walking down the street. Thanks, Dima.
Pretty woman, walking down the street. Pretty woman, the kind I like to meet. Pretty woman, I don't believe you, you're not the truth. No one could look as good as you. Mercy. Pretty woman, won't you pardon me? Pretty woman, I couldn't help but see. Pretty woman, and you look lovely as can be. Are you lonely just like me? Pretty woman, stop a while.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I mean, some of the songs that we've been referencing have been songs written for as part of the soundtrack of the movie that they then became an important part of. But this one's very, very different because the movie Pretty Woman, Richard Gere and Julia Roberts, came out in 1990. This song, which was actually called Oh, Pretty Woman, or became Pretty Woman, was by Roy Orbison. And that was released way, way before that, in 1964. So 26-year gap, but the song being brought forward and repurposed for that. A couple of you are talking about Chariots of Fire. I don't know if we've got the music for that, but Chariots of Fire was the movie and the song which so many of you know, particularly people who run the Comrades Marathon. Here's Vangelis. Yeah, fabulous movie, and I'm sure for all of you runners, stirs up memories of your own that don't require movies. I'm John Perlman. Have a wonderful Thursday. From all of us, good night.
And now, The Money Show.
With Stephen Grootes, live on 92.7 and 106 FM. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
And DSTV channel 856.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes is brought to you by Absa Corporates and Investment Banking, balancing economic growth with ecosystems. That's how they're invested in your